Chapter 1683. Lin Tian cultivated the dragon burial scripture. When he appeared at the Yin family's residence, he immediately noticed how extraordinary this mountain range was. Not only was the immortal spiritual chi very rich, but the 10 directions immortal mountains were also intertwined to form a kind of divine aura. It could be said to be an absolute blessed land with many wonderful features. It should be said that this is indeed the #1 family in the Liangwang state, he said. This place was truly filled with mysteries. Let's go in, Shui said. Under the guidance of Shui, Lin Tianyi and the others quickly entered the Yin family. When they entered the Yin family, there were many pavilions and attics in the clan. The surrounding immortal plants were exuding auspicious energy, and the air was mixed with a faint fragrance. It gave people a very comfortable feeling, and there was a kind of extraordinary immortal charm intertwined. Shui led Lin Tianyi and the others to the main hall in the center of the Yin family. Then, he called someone to inform the family's upper echelons. Soon, more than 10 big figures of the Yin family appeared. The leader was an old man with white hair and a youthful face. He was the strongest patriarch of this generation of the Yin family, and Shui's great-grandfather, who was at the half-step true god realm. Is this our young friend Lin Tian? Little Missin often mentioned you before. Welcome, you and your companions are our guests. The Yin family's patriarch's gaze fell on Lin Tian as he said with a smile. Next to him, the other big figures of the Yin family were also looking at Lin Tian. At the same time, they were sizing up Bai Ziki and the others with wisps of light in their eyes. Little Lin, you're very powerful. You're only at the mysterious immortal realm, but you can actually trap and kill a young supreme being on the ranking of 100 immortals. It's really amazing. Little guy over here, do you really have the Thunder God King physique? Can you show us your king's territory? Most of these big figures' gazes fell on Lin Tian and Bai Ziki. They were shocked that Lin Tian could trap and kill a young supreme being on the ranking of 100 immortals. They were also very concerned about Bai Ziki's Thunder God physique. All of them seemed very enthusiastic. Lin Tian and the others agreed one by one. Soon, 15 minutes had passed. At this time, Shui mentioned to Ancestor and the others that Lin Tian was proficient in the power of heaven and earth, so he could go to that secret land again. Oh? Is that true? Patriarch looked at Lin Tian. Young friend, are you really proficient in the layout of the world? Lin Tian nodded. He paused for a moment and said, The inner court of the aristocrats is filled with buildings and immortal plants. They are distributed according to the 5 elements, 7 immortals, and 9 dragons. There are a total of 99 levels, and the core of the 99 levels is in this main hall. Normally, these 99 stages are not touched, but when they are put together, they have the ability to nourish one's health and nurture one's spirit. If one moves some of the key positions in these 99 stages, it can evolve into a terrifying power like the true god-killing formation. Am I right? As soon as he said this, Ancestor was instantly moved. All the other great figures of the Yin clan also revealed shocked expressions. It was said that the layout of their clan was set up by an extraordinary person from the immortal world who had extraordinary attainments in the domain of the layout of the world. At that time, the Yin clan's ancestor worked together to set it up. It took an entire 9 years, and there were a total of 99 stages. They were distributed in an intricate and complicated manner, and it could be considered a type of small world layout. It could be used to kill or nourish one's health, and it was extremely complicated. Unexpectedly, Lin Tian had just entered their Yin clan, yet he was able to see through it with a single glance and speak of its essence. Young friend, you've truly shocked this old man. Ancestor sighed. He guessed that even an ordinary true god expert wouldn't be able to see through the small world layout of their clan with a single glance. I've already said that he's extremely powerful in the domain of the power of heaven and earth. He should be many times more powerful than that extraordinary person who set up this small world layout for our clan. With his help, we'll definitely be able to enter that secret land. And Shui said, What do you think, great-grandfather? Elders, let's head to that secret land right now. Ancestor restrained his shock when he heard this, and then he rubbed in Shueishue's head and said with a smile, "There's no rush. Young friend Lin and his companions have just arrived, so let's rest for a day and set out tomorrow." As he spoke, he gazed at Lin Tian and said, "Young friend, what do you think?" He knew that Shueishui had probably told Lin Tian about the secret land. Lin Tianyi smiled and said, "I don't mind. I'll do as Senior says." "All right. Young friend and your companions can rest for a while today, and I'll hold a welcoming banquet for all of you." Ancestor smiled as he spoke. That night, the clan was brightly lit, and a banquet was set up to welcome Lin Tianyi and his companions. Ancestor and the other important figures of the clan were there to personally accompany them. This was because Lin Tian and the others were friends of Shueishui, the princess of the clan. More importantly, Lin Tian and the others were all extraordinary. An extraordinary person would naturally be easily welcomed by others. Just like that, the night passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, it was the next morning. "Let's go!" And Shueishui shouted loudly in front of the clan's main entrance. His eyes were filled with light, and he was looking forward to entering the secret land. Lin Tian, Bai Ziki, Ling Yun, the White Tiger, Little Taichu, and Wishing Crocodile all went together. Only Ancestor and Shueishui of the clan went. Ancestor tore open a spatial passage outside the clan, and the group stepped in and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Darkness shrouded their vision, but in the next moment, light appeared again. The group stepped out of the spatial passage and appeared at the edge of a huge abyss. As far as the eye could see, the abyss was at least 300 meters wide and stretched endlessly. When one looked down, it was pitch black and bottomless. "Is this where the mystic land is?" Lin Tian asked. "It's at the bottom of the abyss," Ancestor said. Lin Tian nodded. Immediately, the group leaped up and descended into the abyss. The wind whistled in their ears. After about half an hour, the group appeared at the bottom of the abyss and stepped on the solid ground. The bottom of the abyss was very spacious, and they could occasionally see some ancient trees. Ancestor led the way and soon arrived at a position in the southeast of the abyss. As far as the eye could see, the front was still very spacious, like a vast scarlet desert. However, further ahead, strands of celestial light could be seen dancing in the air. Sometimes they would turn into butterflies, sometimes into birds, and sometimes into beasts. It was very strange. Moreover, in addition to these immortal lights, there was also a very shocking Tao light intertwining in the air. It was very dense. For a moment, except for Ancestor and Shueishui, Little Taichu, and Wishing Crocodile, Lin Tian, Bai Ziki, Ling Yun, and the White Tiger, who had been here before, could not help but be moved. At a glance, they could tell that this place was not simple. Ancestor made his move, slashing forward with a beam of immortal light. It was mixed with the fluctuation of a half-step true god, and it cut through the space. However, it quickly encountered a faint light barrier, which directly shattered the immortal light. Moreover, a light ripple bounced back, and wherever it passed, the void was destroyed inch by inch. Its power was very terrifying. Ancestor raised his hand, and another wave of half-step true god intertwined, shattering the light ripple that bounced back from the light barrier. That light barrier seems to be a little scary. Ling Yun and the others were moved. Earlier, the attack from the family's ancestor was extremely powerful, but when it landed on the barrier of light, it had no effect at all. Not only was it shattered by the barrier of light, it was even repelled by a strand of terrifying runes of light. It was truly terrifying. Ancestor looked at Lin Tian and said helplessly, "That's the gist of it. With this old man's half-step true god strength, I can't break through the light barrier. No matter which direction I choose to break through, I can't enter. I can only go around in circles." Then, he asked Lin Tian, "Little friend, do you have a way to break through this light barrier and enter?" Lin Tian nodded, and took a step forward. He fixed his gaze on the light barrier in front of him, and faint dragon light intertwined in his eyes. Then, in the blink of an eye, a few breaths passed. He paused for a moment, and dragon light appeared in his hand, intertwining to form a mini light dragon. Then, he flicked his finger, and the mini light dragon trembled. It turned into a ray of light and rushed out, crashing into the light barrier in front of him, causing the light barrier to sway slightly. Then, the mini light dragon trembled as if it had been electrocuted, and with a whoosh, it shattered. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared without a trace. Ancestor N's pupils shrank, and he revealed a look of shock. This? When he attacked the light barrier with his half-step true god's strength, he did not cause the light barrier to fluctuate at all. Moreover, there was a terrifying rebound force that bounced back. Yet now, a flick of Lin Tian's finger with the strength of the mysterious immortal realm had caused the barrier of light to shake slightly. Moreover, there wasn't any terrifying rebounding force, and this truly shocked him. Chapter 1684. The Yin clan's ancestor was truly stunned by Lin Tian's display. A cultivation at the mysterious immortal realm was actually capable of causing the peerlessly firm natural barrier to shake, and there wasn't any terrifying backlash. What sort of ability is this? And Shui, Wishing Crocodile, Ling Yun, and the others could not help but be shocked. You are indeed powerful in the domain of the momentum of heaven and earth. And Shui's eyes lit up. At this moment, although Lin Tian had only made the natural barrier tremble slightly, and did not break it, it was still very shocking. After all, her half-step true god great-grandfather and little Tai Chu, who was slightly stronger than her great-grandfather, could not do anything to this natural barrier. Little friend, is there any way to break it? The patriarch of the Yin family asked. At this moment, although he was asking Lin Tian this question, he was already filled with confidence in Lin Tian. Yes, Lin Tian nodded and said, but I need Senior's help. Lend me some of your divine power. As he spoke, he looked at little Taichu and said, Little guy, come with me. Lend me some of your divine power. There was a very powerful and complex domain intertwined here. Various forces were combined to form a natural formation. Even an ordinary true god expert would find it difficult to break it. However, some of the special techniques in the dragon burial scripture could break down the various special forces that formed the barrier here and break through a crack to step into it. However, the natural barrier here was very shocking. The various forces intertwined within it were very complex and majestic. With his current cultivation, it was obvious that his divine power was not enough to break down the various forces within it with the dragon burial scripture. Therefore, he had to borrow the divine power of the half-step true god patriarch and little Tai Chu to break it open. Of course, the patriarch of the Yin family said. As he spoke, he walked to Lin Tian's side and waved his right hand. Immediately, an endless stream of divine power gushed out and entered Lin Tian's body. Little Taichu flapped his wings and flew over, landing on Lin Tian's shoulder. The six-colored divine light surged and quickly passed to Lin Tian. Suddenly, Lin Tianji felt as if a mountain flood had erupted in his body. Majestic power surged as if it was going to burst his body. He took a deep breath and then moved quickly. His hands formed the dragon burial seal at a speed that was difficult to be seen with the naked eye. Dragon runes intertwined and turned into many true dragons. Like a group of true dragons rushed toward the natural barrier in front of them. They collided with the natural barrier in front of them, and there was a constant sound. For a moment, the natural barrier shook violently. After all, there were too many of these mini dragons, and all of them were supported by the boundless divine force of the half-step true gods and family ancestor and little primordial. Chi! 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 The soft sound continued, and the natural barrier shook even more violently. A moment later, a crack appeared. With the appearance of this crack, the image behind the natural barrier instantly became clearer, allowing the group to sense even more astonishing immortal spirit light and Tao light in the depths. It was as if the immortal spirit light and Tao light had formed an ocean. Did we succeed? The patriarch of the Yin family was pleasantly surprised. Beside him, in Shui, 5 Elements Alligator, and the others also revealed a bright light in their eyes. Lin Tian nodded. Let's go. With the help of the majestic divine power given to him by the patriarch of the Yin family and little Tai Chu, he circulated the dragon burial scripture even faster. The sky full of dragon runes intertwined, enveloping the group and turning them into a light dragon. In an instant they rushed through the crack in the natural barrier. The next moment, he led the group through the crack and appeared on the other side of the natural barrier. As far as the eye could see, it was like the Gobi Desert. There were waves of sand and dust swirling in this space. Deep inside, dense immortal spirit light and Tao radiance reflected each other. "We're in?" And Shui Shui's eyes lit up even more. He looked around with an excited expression. "Yes." Lin Tian nodded. Behind him, the crack in the natural barrier quickly closed and disappeared in the blink of an eye. He didn't destroy the natural barrier itself. He only opened a crack in it and went to the back. At this moment, he also looked into the depths. The immortal spirit light and Tao radiance were indeed very dense and shocking. "There must be an incredible treasure in that place." White Tiger's eyes lit up. "Uncle Ling thinks so too." Ling Yun opened his mouth and stared straight ahead. "Let's go deeper," Patriarch said. He was about to tear open the void to move, but in the next moment, his expression changed. He realized that he couldn't tear open the void at all. What's going on? I can't tear open the void, and I can't fly either." Bai Ziki, Wishing Crocodile, and the others were all shocked. They couldn't tear open the void themselves, so they weren't sure if it could be done here. However, they couldn't fly either. There were large dragon patterns spreading under Lin Tian's feet, intertwining with the ground and the void. He paused and said, "Just like the natural barrier outside this space, there's also a very shocking natural field inside. Moreover, it's more intense than the natural field outside. Even true gods can't tear open the void or fly here." "I see." Patriarch nodded. He instantly understood after Lin Tian's explanation. He paused and said, "Then, let's walk into the depths." "That's the only way." Lin Tian andao. Then, the group walked into the depths of the Crimson Gobi Desert. Woo! Waves of wind swept through this space, and they were extremely intense. Wailing sounds drifted through the air, and it sounded like a child crying in the wind. Moreover, at the same time, the wind carried a large amount of crimson sand, and it was extremely uncomfortable when it blew on their faces. The group used their divine energy to protect themselves, and they isolated themselves from the wind that carried sand and dust. They traveled a few dozen kilometers in the blink of an eye. It was also at this moment that a stone forest appeared in front of them. There were over a dozen bowl-sized lotuses growing on the ground nearby. Every single lotus was intertwined with extremely dense immortal energy and fluctuations of the immortal Tao. Dark Moon Soul Lotus. Lin Tian was moved. The Dark Moon Soul Lotus was an extremely rare treasure of the heavens and the earth. Every single stalk contained extremely shocking amounts of immortal spirit energy and immortal Tao law fragments, and it was an extremely precious treasure to mysterious immortal realm experts. After one refined and absorbed it, not only would one be able to directly improve one's cultivation, it would even allow one's spirit sense to become even stronger, and one's ability to sense the immortal Tao would obtain an extremely great improvement. Chapter 1685. Bai Ziki and the others also saw the dozens of Xianhua spirit lotuses in front of them, and their eyes lit up. There are so many Xianhua spirit lotuses in such a deserted stone forest. Ling Yun was both excited and surprised. The dragon patterns on the soles of Lin Tian's feet spread out and shook slightly, causing the ground to tremble. At the mystic moon spirit lotuses, waves of celestial spiritual energy and Tao light surged up. They were so dense that it was like a waterfall of celestial light and Tao light that went against the sky. This underground contains so much immortal spiritual energy and Tao radiance. These Xianhua spirit lotuses were born because of these immortal spiritual energy and Tao radiance. Wishing Crocodile was moved. Lin Tian nodded. Naturally, that was the case. "Don't worry so much. Let's just refine them," and Shui Shui said. Yes. Let's refine them quickly," White Tiger said excitedly. These dozens of Xianhua spirit lotuses were enough to raise its Lin Tians, Baizikis, Ling Yuns, and Shuishuis, and Wishing Crocodile's cultivation by a small level. Then let's refine them first, Lin Tian Andao said. He spoke to Patriarchan and little Taichu, and the two of them guarded them. They walked to the front and began to refine the dozens of Xianhua spirit lotuses. Strong spiritual light flashed outside their bodies. Then, half a month passed in the blink of an eye. Half a month later. On this day, a strong aura rushed out of Lin Tian's body, and his cultivation entered the middle stage of the mystic immortal realm. At the same time, Baiziki and the others also broke through to the middle stage of the mystic immortal realm. How comfortable! The five elements crocodile clicked its tongue. Lin Tian clenched his fists slightly and sensed his current strength. There were obvious improvements in all aspects. Very good! His eyes flashed. With his current cultivation, he could be called a king below the heaven immortal realm. Even half-step heaven immortals couldn't stop him. The wind was still blowing sand and dust in this place. The group paused for a moment, and then walked deeper into this space. The Tao radiance was the thickest there. It was so dense that it was terrifying. Thick. After this, not too much time passed. The group of people walked very far away. At this moment, a pure, divine might gradually drifted out from the air, causing the group of people to be involuntarily moved. The pure fluctuations of divine might could only be emitted by powerhouses of the true God rank or above, or by things related to the divine Tao. This? Is there a true God in front? Or is there a treasure related to the divine Tao? Yun frowned. Lin Tian's body was surrounded by strands of divine light and dragon patterns. He looked in the direction of the divine might. The possibility of it being emitted by a true God expert is not high. There is more than a 90% chance that it's emitted by some treasure related to the divine Tao. I think so too. This doesn't seem to be emitted by a true God expert. It's most likely that it's emitted by some treasure related to the divine Tao. Ancestor said. He was now at the half-step true God realm and had some faint divine might. He could feel that the divine might in this place was slightly different from that emitted by cultivators above the true God realm. Stop guessing. Let's go and take a look, Shui said. Lin Tian nodded. Immediately, he headed towards the depths of this space alone. Rumble. Suddenly, the ground shook. A giant sand beast rushed out from the ground. It was covered in scales and had a terrifying demonic aura. It's comparable to a half-step heaven immortal. Yunling was shocked. Roar! The sand beast roared. Its eyes were red and yellow. It stared at Lin Tianyi and the others as soon as it rushed out. It seemed to treat them as prey and pounced on them. Lin Tian cultivated the dragon burial scripture and led the way. At this time, he raised his hand and punched the beast. Bang! The punch landed firmly on the sand beast. With a muffled bang, the sand beast was sent flying tens of thousands of feet away. This scene moved Ancestor. He said, "Young friend, your physique is really amazing. To be able to send a half-step heaven immortal ferocious beast flying with a punch at the middle stage Xian immortal realm, such physical strength was really terrifying." Baiziki and the rest, on the other hand, remained calm because they knew that Lin Tian's physical strength had always been extremely abnormal. It's okay. Lin Tian smiled at the An family's ancestor. Then, the group continued to walk deeper. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. In this half a month, many powerful ferocious beasts appeared in this space. The strongest had even reached the half-step immortal king realm. They were ferocious and terrifying. However, this was nothing to the group. After all, they had the half-step true God ancestor and the little Taichu, who was stronger than the ancestor. The ferocious beasts they encountered were easily dealt with. It was also in this half a month that the group really walked into the depths of this space. In front of them, the immortal spiritual light and Tao radiance were extremely dense. It was like a terrifying sea of immortal spiritual light and Tao radiance. The immortal spiritual light and Tao radiance evolved into spiritual butterflies and celestial birds. Buzz! A fist-sized crystal fell on the ground. Immortal grass grew around it, and a very dense divine aura flowed out of the crystal. Divine Tao Treasure Crystal. Lin Tian was shocked. Beside him, Ancestor was extremely excited. That's right. It's a Divine Tao Treasure Crystal. That's it. The Divine Tao Treasure Crystal was a type of divine crystal that was formed from the divine Tao of the heaven and earth. It contained countless fragments of the divine Tao, making it a supreme treasure. Especially for half-step true gods, it was a treasure among treasures. Normally, it was very difficult to break through from half-step true god realm to true god realm. Not even 1 out of 10,000 half-step true gods could successfully break through to true god realm. After all, this was a huge watershed on the path of cultivation. It was naturally very difficult. However, this divine Tao treasure crystal could help a half-step true god realm cultivator smoothly break through to true god realm in an extremely short period of time. Moreover, it could stabilize the realm after breaking through. There was no need to consolidate it at all. Super divine treasure! Wishing Crocodile's eyes lit up. And Shui could not help but clench his fists. His eyes were also filled with light. With this, great-grandfather will be able to step into true god realm soon. Buzz! In front of him, the divine Tao treasure crystal was circling around. Divine aura fluctuations intertwined. It was very dense. Lin Tian's hand was surrounded by dragon runes. He directly grabbed the divine Tao treasure crystal and handed it over to An family's ancestor. The divine Tao treasure crystal was extremely precious, but they had no use for it right now. Furthermore, the An family was the one who had discovered the mystic ground. He had entered the mystic ground with the An family ancestor. Hence, the divine Tao treasure crystal should naturally be given to the An family ancestor. An family's ancestor's cultivation was powerful, and his state of mind was profound. However, when he received the divine Tao treasure crystal, he could not help but be excited. His hands were trembling slightly. With this divine Tao treasure crystal, he would be able to enter the true God realm very quickly. Once he entered the true God realm, he would be completely different from now. It would be like the difference between heaven and earth. His clan would also become dozens of times stronger because of his breakthrough into the true God realm. Even in the dozens of king prefectures, there would be few inheritances that could compare to him. Many thanks, little friend. Many thanks, little friend. He thanked Lin Tiandao emotionally. This time, if it were not for Lin Tian's help, he would not have been able to enter this secret land and obtain this divine Tao treasure crystal. If he couldn't obtain this supreme Tao treasure crystal, the chances of him stepping into the true God realm would be too slim. After all, he had been stuck at the half-step true God realm for too long. Chapter 1686. Lin Tian waved his hand and said with a smile, "Senior, you're too polite. I'm only doing my best. It's nothing much. Moreover, I'm friends with Shui. All these years, little Taichu and that stupid crocodile have been staying with your clan. They've been taken care of by your clan, so it's only right for me to help out a little." Ancestor and put away the divine Tao gem and sighed. "This isn't a small favor. It's a great favor from Zong Tian." Lin Tianyi smiled. He naturally knew what Ancestor was thinking. He helped Ancestor enter this place and obtain the divine Tao gem. This would allow Ancestor to enter the true God realm in a very short time, greatly increasing the strength of the clan. This was a great favor to Ancestor and the entire clan. Of course, this was indeed a great favor. However, from Lin Tian's point of view, this was merely a very insignificant help. After a pause, he said, "Then, Senior, let's leave." At this time, as the divine Tao gem was taken away, the immortal spiritual qi and Tao glow in this place instantly weakened by countless times. Obviously, there were no more treasures left, so there was no need to stay. Ancestor clearly knew this and nodded. Good, let's go." Then, Ancestor smiled. "Let's go back to the clan. This old man wants to drink with you until we're drunk." Entering this place and obtaining a divine Tao gem, this half-step true god expert was very excited. Lin Tianyi smiled. Although he wasn't interested in wine, he still said, "All right, this junior will drink with senior." Speaking of which, he, Bai Ziki, and the others had obtained many benefits after entering this place. Their cultivation had increased by a small level, so they were very happy at this time. Immediately, the group turned around and walked out the way they came. However, in the next moment, Lin Tian's expression suddenly changed. A strange light flashed in his eyes. He stopped in his tracks and tilted his head to look at the place where the divine Dao gem was. "Young friend, what's wrong?" Ancestor asked. Bai Ziki and the others also looked at him, slightly puzzled. They did not understand why he suddenly stopped at this time. Could it be that they found some immortal treasures in that place? The white tiger's eyes lit up, looking very expectant. Lin Tian's eyes flickered with the light of dragons. He looked at the place where the divine Dao gem had fallen and paused for a moment before walking over. They can't be considered as immortal treasures or divine objects. However, they are somewhat extraordinary. He walked forward as he spoke. Soon, he came to the place where the divine Dao precious crystal had fallen. The dragon patterns on the soles of his feet interweaved and transformed into sharp blades. They cut open the ground in front of him and revealed a strange pitch-black stone under the surface. The rock was about the size of a fist. It was completely black and was surrounded by strands of black mist. It emitted an extremely frightening fluctuation that caused the surrounding space to involuntarily distort slightly. Moreover, it was also intertwined with dense Dao power. However, although the Dao power was dense, it was extremely chaotic and cold. "What's this?" Ling Yun and the others were immediately moved. This black stone was only the size of a fist, and it made them feel greatly threatened. Looking at the stone, the souls in their sea of consciousness could not help but feel slightly cold. Ancestor and little Taichu did not have much of a reaction. After all, they were very powerful. Ancestor looked at the fist-sized black stone and said, "This is something condensed from the demonic filthy qi?" "Senior is right. That is indeed the case," Lin Tian now said. "The divine Dao precious crystal is condensed in this place. During this process, all the impurities in it are expelled. These impurities are deposited under the divine Dao precious crystal, and then condensed into this black stone below. It can be called the demonic filthy crystal." As he spoke, he enveloped the demonic filthy crystal with dense dragon patterns. Then, he held it in his hand and put it away. The white tiger was puzzled. "It doesn't look like anything good. Why did you put it away?" "I used a special method to detonate it. It won't be a problem to kill anyone below the Immortal King realm," Lin Tian said simply. "Everyone. I realize that you are very sinister. Since you started cultivating, how many people have you tricked with all kinds of messy methods?" The wishing crocodile was speechless. Lin Tian immediately wanted to kick it. "Don't you know how to chat? You call this sinister? This is wisdom." The wishing crocodile rolled its eyes. Sinister wisdom. Lin Tian was too lazy to pay attention to it. He said goodbye to Ancestor and then the group walked back the way they came. After that, the group quickly walked to the place where the natural barrier was formed. Lin Tian used the dragon burial scripture. With the help of Ancestor and little Taichu's majestic divine power, he quickly broke open a gap like when they entered. He led the group through this gap and walked out in the blink of an eye. Then, the group did not stay here. After ascending to the top of the abyss, Ancestor directly tore open a spatial tunnel and led the group back to the family's residence. "Men, prepare a banquet," Ancestor personally ordered. On this night, the clan was decorated with lanterns and colored banners. Many great figures found out that the ancestor of the clan had obtained a divine Dao treasure crystal from the secret ground with Lin Tian's help, and it wouldn't be long before the ancestor of the clan stepped into the true God realm. All of them were extremely excited, and they toasted Lin Tian one after another to express their gratitude. Because Lin Tian's help meant too much to the clan. Lin Tian was naturally very polite. He did not refuse anyone. After that, he held a wine cup and toasted the big shots of the Yin family one by one. Just like that, the night passed quickly. After that, Lin Tianyi and the group temporarily stopped in the Yin family. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Boom! Half a month later, on this day, an extremely powerful divine power rushed out from the depths of the Yin family. Pure divine power spread. Ancestor Yin had refined the divine path treasure crystal and finally broke through the half-step true God realm on this day and stepped into the true God realm. This caused the entire Yin family to seethe with excitement, and everyone was extremely excited. After all, the significance of having another true God in the clan was simply too great. Their strength could be said to have instantly multiplied by a few tens of times. It was also on this day that Lin Tian bid farewell to Ancestor Yin and all the big shots of the Yin family. At this moment, he intended to leave with Bai Ziki and the others. It was impossible for him to stay in the Yin family forever, and he had to head out to the vast immortal region to temper himself. Ancestor Yin and all the big shots of the Yin family tried to persuade him to stay, but when they saw Lin Tian's firm intention to leave, they didn't say anything further. Young friend and your companions are welcome to visit my Yin family at any time. The doors of my clan will always be open to all of you, said Ancestor, and Lin Tian smiled as he returned the greeting. Thank you, Senior. Great-grandfather, I'll go temper myself with them. And Shui Shui spoke at this moment. She jumped over to Lin Tian's side and intended to leave with Lin Tian, Bai Ziki, and the others. All right. Ancestor Yin didn't hesitate and directly nodded in agreement. Then, he looked at Lin Tian and said with a smile, Then, young friend, I'll leave this girl in your care. And Shui Shui wanted to go temper herself with Lin Tian and the others. Ancestor Yin naturally wouldn't have any objections. Firstly, it was because he was very satisfied with Lin Tian. He was very willing to let his precious great-granddaughter follow Lin Tian. Secondly, Lin Tianyi had little Taichu with him, which was enough to make him absolutely invincible under the true God realm. Under normal circumstances, there wouldn't be any problem with their safety. Therefore, he was very relieved. Thank you, great-grandfather, and Shui Shui said happily. Lin Tian naturally didn't have any objections to Shui Shui following him. He bid farewell to Ancestor Yin and the big shots of the Yin family again before leaving. He walked out of the group of immortal mountains where the Yin family was established and continued to travel further away. Soon, they were very far away from the Yin family. Speaking of which, where are we going to temper ourselves next? And Shui Shui asked Lin Tian now. She was very interested in tempering herself with Lin Tian and the others in this vast immortal realm. Lin Tian thought for a moment and said, Let's go to Taining Prefecture to see Ye first. I promised her before that I'll bring you back to Taining Prefecture when I find you. Boom! In the distant sky, dozens of waves of divine power surged. They were all extremely powerful and interrupted his words. From the north, dozens of figures streaked across the sky. The leader was a man in black, and his eyes were filled with threatening coldness and killing intent. That's Mu Zhanyan on the ranking of 100 immortals. White Tiger said with narrowed eyes. Chapter 1687. Lin Tian also saw that the man in black was Mu Zhanyan. He squinted his eyes like a white tiger. Back then in the Boundless Sea region, Mu Zhanyan's clan brother had tried to snatch the Void Cliff Orchid from him, and even wanted to kill him. He had threatened to kill all of them even if they had to hand over the Void Cliff Orchid. He had directly taken his opponent's life. After that, in the Boundless Sea region, using the power of the extreme cold vein, he had fought against Mu Zhanyan. Mu Zhanyan was very strong, stronger than Jia Zijing. At this moment, the other party had appeared in Laowang province. He could roughly guess that the other party had heard that he was in this province. Now, the other party had brought a group of experts from his clan to Laowang province to force him to come and kill him. Mu Zhanyan from the Mu family. And Shui Shui was slightly moved. He seems to be coming for us. Why? Nothing, it's just that Lin Tian killed his brother. Ling Yun grit his teeth and briefly explained the situation. So that's how it is. And Shui Shui and the others understood. Then, they did not care or fear Mu Zhanyan and his men. What a joke, they had the little Taichu, who was invincible under the true immortal realm. So what if Mu Zhanyan was a supreme being on the ranking of 100 immortals? After all, he was only at the heaven immortal realm. He was nothing in front of the little Taichu. Although there were quite a number of heavenly immortal experts from the Mu family who followed Mu Zhanyan, they couldn't be compared to a heavenly immortal like Mu Zhanyan. They were simply too weak. Therefore, such a group of people was not a threat to them at all. They did not need to care at all. In the blink of an eye, Mu Zhanyan led a group of experts from the Mu family and directly stepped in front of them. Found you! Mu Zhanyan's eyes were cold. After he came close, he only said this one sentence. Then, in the next moment, he directly pressed down on Lin Tian. Boundless divine power surged, and the pressure of the heavenly immortal level was undoubtedly displayed. Lin Tian Sha had lost his younger brother. As for Lin Tian, he naturally didn't have much to say. He only wanted to cut off Lin Tian's head and bring it back to the clan as a blood sacrifice for his dead younger brother. Leave that bastard to the Holy Sun. As for the rest, we'll take care of them and kill them all. That woman seems to be the beloved daughter of the Yin family? The Mu clan and the Yin clan were both powerful clans in the King continent. The people of the Mu clan naturally knew of the existence of the Yin Shui. At this time, when they saw the Yin Shui, many people's eyes involuntarily trembled. Don't hurt the pearl of the Yin family. Kill everyone else, one of the middle-aged men said coldly. And Shui was the princess of the Yin clan, so they did not dare to kill her. After all, if they killed Yin Shui here, it would definitely cause the Yin clan and the Mu clan to fight. This was a very serious matter. However, other than Yin Shui, they were not afraid of anyone else. The group of people followed Mu Zhanyan and attacked from the front. Most of them were at the celestial level. For a time, rumbling sounds could be heard. Mu Zhanyan mercilessly slashed at Lin Tian. The other experts of the Mu clan locked their eyes on Bai Ziki, Ling Yun, the White Tiger, Little Taichu, and Wishing Crocodile. All of them had killing divine energy intertwined around their bodies. In the blink of an eye, Mu Zhanyan, who was at the front, directly arrived in front of Lin Tian. His big hand pressed down, intertwining with divine light at the celestial level. This time, what else can you rely on? His eyes were cold and threatening, and his expression was incomparably cruel. Die! 1. His big hand fell, and the celestial level divine energy sealed off the surroundings. Facing this palm, Lin Tian felt a great threat, but his expression did not change at all. Rely on what? Do you want to see? He said with a smile. At the same time, a fist-sized black stone appeared in his hand. It was intertwined with dense dragon patterns, and he threw it forward. It was the demonic filthy stone that he had found in the secret land of the Yin family. He gently shook his hand, and used the dragon patterns to protect himself, and Bai Ziki and the others. Then, he threw the demonic filthy stone in his hand, and directly detonated it with the dragon patterns that were intertwined on it. Boom! The deafening roar resounded in all directions. The moment the demonic filthy stone was detonated, a monstrous filthy aura rushed out. It was mixed with evil and blood energy, and even contained the light of Tao. Like a storm of death, it directly enveloped Mu Zhanyan and the other experts of the Mu clan who had rushed over with Mu Zhanyan. Ah! Screams rang out instantly. The demonic filthy stone contained an extremely dense blood energy and filthy demonic aura. It was extremely corrosive, and not only could it corrode things, but it could also destroy spirits. After it exploded, a large number of experts of the Mu clan were directly affected. One by one, their physical bodies collapsed, and their divine souls were also entangled by the extremely dense demonic filthy qi. No! In the blink of an eye, among the dozens of people, the Xian immortal cultivators were directly annihilated. Most of the celestial immortal cultivators had their physical bodies destroyed, and their divine souls became turbid. There were many cracks in many places, as if they could collapse at any time. How ruthless! More than half of them died directly. Facing this scene, Ling Yun could not help but shrink his neck. Bai Ziki, and Shui Shui, and the others could not help but turn pale. Even Bai Ziki could not help but be moved. "What a scam!" and Shui Shui muttered. Lin Tian was very calm. Originally, when Mu Zhanyan and the others came to attack, the little Taishu could kill them all in the blink of an eye. However, he had no use for the demonic filthy stone, so he naturally used it to entertain this group of people. In the battlefield, Mu Zhanyan's physical body collapsed, and his divine soul was also injured. His body was reconstructed at an extremely fast speed. His face turned pale and at the same time, turned ashen. Obviously, he did not expect Lin Tian to have such a thing. He gritted his teeth and swept an extremely cold glance at Lin Tianyi. He did not continue to stay at this place, and directly fled into the distance. Although he did not suffer a destructive blow when the demonic filthy stone exploded, he suffered an extremely heavy injury at this time. His essence, chi, and spirit were all severely damaged. Now, he no longer had his peak combat strength, not even 1,000th of his peak combat strength. He was very clear that if he continued to stay, he would definitely not gain anything. Whoosh! The sound of the air breaking was loud and clear. In just the blink of an eye, he rushed extremely far away. "You came thousands of miles to kill me, why are you leaving so soon after meeting me?" Lin Tianling smiled. At this time, he did not care about the other experts of the Mu family, but his eyes fell on Mu Zhanyan. Seeing that the other party was escaping, he directly used the yin-yang steps to kill him. In just the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Mu Zhanyan and raised his hand to launch a Chaos Emperor fist, showing no mercy. With a boom, the surrounding space shook because of this punch, as if the legendary heavenly drum was beaten. Puff! Blood splattered. Mu Zhanyan took this punch head-on in a severely injured state. Dense cracks appeared on his sturdy body, and he was blasted deep into the ground by Lin Tianyi's punch, smashing a huge human-shaped pit in the ground. Then, he moved again, and did not stop at all. The sword light turned into a sky of sword rain and slashed down. "Help the saint!" Among the experts of the Mu family who came with Mu Zhanyan, only 11 early-stage celestial immortals were still alive after the self-explosion of the demonic filthy stone. All of them were severely injured, and they were shocked and angry. Seeing that the saint of their bloodline was pushed down slightly by Lin Tian, they immediately moved and rushed toward Lin Tian without fear of death. Lin Tianling snorted. Using the divining divine technique, dozens of divining divine elephants appeared and pressed down on the celestial immortals of the Mu family. For a time, the sturdy void of the celestial realm rumbled because of the dozens of divining divine elephants, and a large part of it was directly shattered. Puff! 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 3 mists of blood exploded, and 3 experts of the Mu family were directly smashed by the divining divine elephants. Because they had suffered a great disaster from the explosion of the demonic filthy stone, the situation was very bad at this time. They were far from their peak state, and without the powerful strength of a celestial immortal, even if a dozen of them joined forces, they could not stop Lin Tian. Clang! The space between Lin Tian's eyebrows was filled with black and white divine radiance. The yin-yang lotus sea was summoned and turned into 3 black and white yin-yang lotus swords. They directly pierced through the divine souls of the 3 Mu family experts who had exploded, and in an instant, the 3 of them were smashed into pieces. 3 celestial immortals were destroyed in body and soul. Damn it! The other celestial immortals of the Mu family were shocked and angry, and they attacked Lin Tian even more crazily. For a time, there was a rumble. Several powerful waves of divine power rolled and flooded toward Lin Tian from different directions. Should we help? White Tiger looked at the battlefield in front of him, and asked. Help my ass, obviously not. Whooshing Crocodile curled his lips. At this time, the experts of the Mu family were all seriously injured by the explosion of the demonic filthy stone. The entire battlefield was completely under Lin Tian's control and domination. Boom! Shocking divine light surged. Lin Tian swept out a large amount of divine light toward the celestial immortals of the Mu family, and then toward Mu Zhanyan. Come to kill me! You should be prepared to be killed. Just bury your soul in this place, he said calmly. Xian immortal level divine powers surged, and various strange techniques were used by him, directly blasting toward Mu Zhanyan. Mu Zhanyan was affected by the explosion of the demonic filthy stone, and his current state was very bad. He was almost one step into the door of death. At this time, he was directly sent flying by Lin Tian, vomiting blood. He glanced at Lin Tian coldly, and quickly held up a celestial artifact treasure bell. He did not attack, and directly retreated along the way he came, because his current state was too bad. Even if he held up this celestial artifact to attack Lin Tian, it would be completely useless. Now, he held up this celestial artifact only to protect himself. I said you can't leave? It's useless to hold up a celestial artifact. Lin Tian now chased after him. He chased after the other party, feeling a little surprised. He was not surprised by the other party's celestial immortal artifact, but by the other party's strong vitality. This was because he had detonated the demonic Dao filthy crystal, and the center of it was right next to Mu Zhanyan. At least 90% of the destructive force had landed on Mu Zhanyan's body. Even a half-step immortal king wouldn't be able to survive that attack. However, Mu Zhanyan didn't die and had completely withstood that terrifying destructive force. It was a little scary. However, the surprise in his heart was only for a moment. In the next moment, he closed in on Mu Zhanyan again and punched. Dong! The powerful punch shattered the void and directly landed on Mu Zhanyan's back. With a bang, even though Mu Zhanyan had the celestial artifact treasure bell to protect himself, it was useless at this time. He was sent flying again, and blood was flowing from his mouth and nose. After all, in his current state, he could not unleash the power of the celestial artifact. Thief, stay away from the holy sun! The other 8 celestial immortal experts of the Mu family roared. Although they were in a bad state, they still rushed forward fearlessly. They could not let their holy son, Mu Zhanyan, suffer. This was because Mu Zhanyan's existence to the Mu family was as important as Jia Zijing's existence to the Jia family. He was the hope of the future of the family. The 8 celestial immortals rushed directly to Lin Tian, and each of them took out powerful magic weapons. Although they were not celestial artifacts, they were quasi-celestial artifacts, and the aura they emitted was very frightening. Get lost! Don't get in the way! Chapter 1688. The seal of celestial ascension vibrated as it was covered with Dao patterns. Under the activation of Lin Tian's Midxian immortal cultivation base, an extremely powerful divine power burst out and enveloped the 8 heaven immortal experts of the Mu clan, ruthlessly suppressing them. Suddenly, there was a rumbling sound as the void shook. The divine power of a heaven immortal level treasure was terrifying. Poof! 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 Blood mist exploded as the 8 heaven immortals of the Mu clan were all crushed at the first moment, leaving only their divine souls barely intact. It was because they had suffered a great calamity from the explosion of the demonic filth crystal, and their combat power was far from the heaven immortal level. Damn it! One of them was furious. His divine soul shook as he quickly reformed his body. At the same time, the divine souls of the 7 Mu clan experts glowed as their flesh and blood quickly reformed. Don't bother, all of you are dead, Lin Tian said coldly. With a buzz, the reincarnation portrait rushed out from behind him, and a vast and domineering aura crushed down mercilessly. In an instant, there were 8 consecutive sounds as the divine souls of the 8 heaven immortal experts of the Mu clan were all crushed. After killing the 8 of them, his expression did not change as if he did not do anything. He turned to look at Mu Zhanyan, who was escaping into the distance, and chased after him. In the blink of an eye, he was beside Mu Zhanyan. Dong! Without any superfluous words, he directly pressed down with the Chaos Emperor's fist. Mu Zhanyan used the Heaven Immortal Treasure Bell to welcome the attack. When the bell and Lin Tian's fist collided, there was a loud bang, and the surrounding void was shattered. At the same time, Lin Tian's fist landed on Mu Zhanyan through the treasure bell, sending him flying again. I will kill you next time! Mu Zhanyan's voice was cold, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. He did not stop and once again escaped into the distance. There will be no next time. Today, you will die without a doubt, Lin Tianling said. He would not let go of someone who wanted to kill him. He was not an idiot. Immediately, he used the duality steps and chased after him again. So, Mu Zhanyan was in front, and he was behind him. In the blink of an eye, they had crossed a great distance, leaving behind dozens of mountains behind. He's going to kill another supreme of the ranking of 100 immortals. Behind them, the white tiger clicked its tongue. Follow them, Lingyan said. At that moment, the group of people chased after Lin Tian. Lin Tian's speed was extremely fast as he chased after Mu Zhanyan. In the blink of an eye, he was right in front of Mu Zhanyan. Clang! He raised his hand and swung his sword, slashing out a towering sword ray from afar. It was incomparably swift and fierce, and it pierced through the void. Now that he had reached the profound immortal realm, the firm void of the immortal realms was nothing in front of him. Mu Zhanyan shook the heaven immortal treasure bell, and the sound of the bell reverberated, shattering Lin Tian's sword radiance. Then, without pausing for a moment, he continued to flee into the distance at an extremely fast speed. Lin Tianling humped. His speed was also very fast, and he once again chased after him. The two of them, one running and one chasing, crossed dozens of mountains in the blink of an eye. At this time, a large road appeared in front of them. There were many cultivators on it, and their spirits were all extraordinary. When they sensed the fluctuation of divine power from the two of them, they turned their heads to look. Then they were all shocked, and their eyes widened. That's Mu Zhanyan, a supreme of the ranking of 100 immortals. Now, he's actually running away? The group of cultivators was shocked. He's being chased by someone. Who is that person chasing after him? Why does he look so familiar? Someone's gaze fell on Lin Tian, and he was a little puzzled. Then, in the next moment, his expression changed. Isn't that the ruthless person who killed Jia Zijing some time ago? I've seen his face in the Divine Sense brand before. That's right, it's that person. He just killed Jia Zijing, who was on the ranking of 100 immortals, and now he's chasing after Mu Zhanyan, who is even stronger than Jia Zijing. He obviously hasn't reached the heaven immortal realm, but Mu Zhanyan is a supreme of the young immortal realm. How could he chase after Mu Zhanyan? How could he make Mu Zhanyan so embarrassed that he could only run away? What kind of trap did he set this time? Just like how he killed Jia Zijing? That should be it. After all, that person is definitely no match for Mu Zhanyan in a head-on battle. If that's really the case, this is simply a trap. The group of cultivators was shocked and horrified. Lin Tian and Mu Zhanyan, one chasing after the other, noticed the group of cultivators on the road, but neither of them cared. The former just wanted to end Mu Zhanyan quickly, while the latter just wanted to get rid of Lin Tian as soon as possible. Lin Tian's eyes were indifferent. He chased after Mu Zhanyan, paused, and directly operated the 5 heavenly thunders technique. Using it together with the yin and yang steps, his speed suddenly increased by several times. He almost turned into a human-shaped lightning, and instantly approached Mu Zhanyan. Mu Zhanyan's pupils shrank. He was shocked by the terrifying speed that Lin Tian suddenly displayed, and he also sped up with all his might. You can't escape, Lin Tian said coldly. As his words fell, with a boom, he activated the seal of celestial ascension to the limit. The heaven immortal level fluctuations rolled, causing the seal of celestial ascension to turn into a heaven immortal level divine sun. It distorted the space, shattered it, and mightily pressed down on Mu Zhanyan. This was an incomparably violent attack. It was the most powerful divine power that he could use with his current cultivation base, and the seal of celestial ascension. It caused the void in all directions to be sealed, trapping Mu Zhanyan in a narrow corner, unable to escape. Mu Zhanyan's escape route was cut off, and he obviously felt the terror of this attack. With a low roar, several immortal Tao laws were released. Together with the Heaven Immortal level treasure bell, they met Lin Tian's seal of celestial ascension. In the blink of an eye, the two Heaven Immortal level treasures collided, and directly set off a large amount of divine power, shattering a large part of the space. Bam! With a muffled sound, Mu Zhanyan was sent flying. He coughed up blood, and his body was covered with spiderweb-like cracks. Lin Tian's expression was indifferent. Without pausing, he did not give Mu Zhanyan any time to breathe. The 5 Thunder Sky Shock incantation combined with the yin and yang steps once again approached Mu Zhanyan like a human lightning bolt. He raised his hand and threw out a Chaos Emperor fist. Roar! Roar! As his fist landed, a loud dragon roar resounded, and a shocking phoenix cry rang out. A true dragon and immortal phoenix of light appeared at the tip of his fist. With the power of the dragon and phoenix, one from the left and one from the right, they rushed towards Mu Zhanyan from 2 blind spots. Mu Zhanyan could not avoid this attack and was directly hit. Puff! Blood splattered everywhere. Under the combined attack of the dragon and phoenix, Mu Zhanyan was sent flying again. His sturdy Heaven Immortal body directly exploded. That Mu Zhanyan is completely at a disadvantage. He was originally at the Heaven Immortal level, but now, he is being suppressed by a Xian Immortal cultivator to such a sorry state. Nearby, the crowd of cultivators was shocked. Bai Ziki and the rest followed behind Lin Tian and quietly watched the battle. Mu Zhanyan is completely unable to block it now. He is definitely finished, Lingyan said. Wishing Crocodile nodded. Looking at the situation before us, there is no turning back. He can only be killed by Lin Tian. Boom! In front, divine energy surged. Mu Zhanyan's immortal soul exploded with monstrous spiritual energy, and quickly reformed his physical body. His expression was extremely ugly. Using the Heaven Immortal treasure bell to protect his body, he once again escaped into the distance. Lin Tianling snorted. The 5 Thunder Sky Shock incantation combined with the yin and yang steps was frighteningly fast. In the blink of an eye, he blocked in front of Mu Zhanyan. I told you, you can't escape, he said indifferently. As he spoke, the seal of celestial ascension above his head vibrated again. It was activated with the pinnacle of divine energy, causing it to emit an immortal divine light. With a loud boom, the entire seal pressed down on Mu Zhanyan. Mu Zhanyan once again used the Heaven Immortal treasure bell and several immortal Tao precepts to meet the attack. However, his current situation was too bad. He was no match for Lin Tian. The moment the Heaven Immortal treasure bell and the seal of celestial ascension collided, he was sent flying again. His body exploded, and fresh blood splattered across the sky. At this moment, Lin Tian stretched out his right hand and grabbed the heavenly immortal great bell, grabbing it in his hand. This was a Heaven Immortal treasure, and it was a pinnacle Heaven Immortal treasure. Naturally, he would not let it go to waste. Let go! A cold, angry voice rang out. Mu Zhanyan reformed his physical body. His divine consciousness shot out, causing the Heaven Immortal treasure bell to vibrate. It emitted a bright light that blocked Lin Tian's grab. This caused Lin Tian's entire right hand to be in intense pain. However, his expression did not change. With a cold snort, the reincarnation portrait rushed up and pressed down on Mu Zhanyan. At the same time, his right hand shone with silver divine light. The 4-symbol seal appeared and covered the entire treasure bell. Mu Zhanyan met the reincarnation portrait head-on. He was severely injured and could not fight back. With a bang, he was sent flying. Then, Lin Tian took advantage of this opportunity. The silver divine light of the 4-symbol seal entered the Heaven Immortal treasure bell and destroyed Mu Zhanyan's divine consciousness imprint. In the distance, Mu Zhanyan trembled. The divine consciousness imprint in the treasure bell was destroyed, and he suffered a great backlash. He gritted his teeth and looked coldly at Lin Tian. Then, he took a mysterious step and retreated again. He still chose to escape because he could not fight against Lin Tian now. Lin Tian raised his hand and a towering heaven sword aura slashed towards Mu Zhanyan. It was so fast that it pierced through Mu Zhanyan's back, causing a large amount of blood to spurt out and shatter a large part of the void. Whoosh! He stepped forward and increased his speed. In an instant, he was in front of Mu Zhanyan. He attacked with the seal of celestial advancement and the treasure bell that he had just taken. These were 2 heaven immortal artifacts. Under his full power, they were like 2 blazing suns. It was terrifying. Mu Zhanyan felt the threat of death. With a roar, he quickly supported the law of immortal Tao and several grand superpowers. However, his current state was too weak, and he could not stop Lin Tian at all. The celestial artifacts of the 2 sects pressed down under Lin Tian's control, directly crushing him into pieces. Only his spiritual body was barely preserved, and his expression was very ugly as he fled again. Die! A cold voice sounded. Lin Tian stepped in front of his spiritual body. His right hand was holding the soul transformation talisman. He slammed it down mercilessly and landed directly on Mu Zhanyan's spiritual body. Damn it! Mu Zhanyan roared unwillingly. In the next moment, his spiritual body collapsed and was destroyed by the soul transformation talisman. Chapter 1689. Blood fell into the air as Mu Zhanyan's body and divine soul were crushed one after another. The surroundings quieted down. Then, the nearby cultivators all trembled. Mu Zhanyan was. These cultivators were horrified. They only felt that their backs and internal organs had all become cold at this moment. Mu Zhanyan, the sacred son of the Mu family, the number 1 family in Qingyin State, one of the 49 king's prefectures, was now killed. This person. Someone looked at Lin Tian and couldn't help but tremble. Not long ago, Lin Tian had killed Jia Zijing, the holy son of the Jia family, the number 1 family in Jinyuan State. Jia Zijing was also a young sovereign on the ranking of 100 immortals. Now, not long after, he had killed Mu Zhanyan. Moreover, he had killed 2 young sovereigns at the heaven immortal realm. Lin Tian glanced at these cultivators. Naturally, he didn't care about their horrified expressions. In a flash, he moved and came in front of Bai Ziki and the others. Let's go. He called out to the group of people. Let's go, Wishing Crocodile said. This vast immortal realm is going to be bustling with excitement again. The group of people stepped forward and soon left this place, disappearing from the sight of the cultivators. Then, as Wishing Crocodile said, not long after, the immortal realm was bustling with excitement again. No! No way! Mu Zhanyan, the sacred son of the Mu family in Qingyin State, is also dead? He was killed by the person who killed Jia Zijing? The news of Lin Tianxia's death spread like a bird with divine wings. In the blink of an eye, the news of Mu Zhanyan's death spread to all the prefectures. Moreover, some cultivators who saw the scene with their own eyes used their divine senses to imprint it, which shocked many cultivators again. Oh my God! He hasn't reached the heaven immortal realm, but he killed 2 heaven immortal young supremes in succession. This is really, what kind of skills does he have? Is he going to be a supreme killer? Many cultivators felt their hearts palpitate. His cultivation base had not reached the heavenly immortal realm, but he had killed 2 heavenly immortal sovereigns on the ranking of 100 immortals in a short period of time. This was truly shocking. At the same time, that day, in Yinqing Province's Mu family, a group of great figures almost went crazy, killing intent rushing into the heavens. Bastard! Kill! 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 Exterminate his entire family! A bone-piercing killing intent towered up into the sky. The sky above the Mu clan was directly shattered as immortal kings stepped out, directly tearing apart the spatial passageway and slaughtering their way towards the Laowang Prefecture, wanting to take Lin Tian's head. Laowang Prefecture. After Lin Tian killed Mu Zhanyan and the other experts of the Mu family who were with him, he followed by Ziki and the others. At this time, they were already very far away from the place just now, crossing over dozens of mountains in a row. Let's go to Taining Province. Let's go to Purple Heaven Precious Sect to see you, and then find a suitable place to train and cultivate, Lin Tian said at this time. He had already told Nshui, Bai Ziki, and the others about this matter before. At this time, he spoke again and then asked little Taichu to open the spatial portal. Now, little Taichu was at the mid-stage of the Immortal King realm. It was no longer difficult for him to open a spatial portal in the Immortal realm. Little Taichu responded in a childish voice. The bright and clean wings behind him shook and directly opened a void portal, with silver light lingering inside. Let's go, Lin Tian Andao. Immediately, the group stepped into the spatial portal opened by little Taichu. Wait! At this moment, a gentle voice sounded, and a white-haired old man silently appeared at the side. Lin Tian and the others immediately stopped. All of them were shocked because they did not sense how the white-haired old man appeared at all. Before he appeared, no one felt any other aura approaching. Even little Taichu's eyes narrowed. He looked at the white-haired old man with vigilance and vigilance. The white-haired old man was dressed in a long robe and felt like an ordinary old man. At this time, he looked at Lin Tianyi and the others with a gentle smile on his face. You don't have to be like this. This old man has no intention of harming you. Senior, what can I do for you? Lin Tian paused and asked. He did not feel the slightest fluctuation of divine power from this old man. The other party was completely like an ordinary old man. However, he obviously would not treat the other party as an ordinary person just because he could not feel the other party's divine power fluctuation and because the other party looked like an ordinary person. He was not stupid. Just from the fact that the other party could appear silently beside them and make little Taichu become vigilant, it was enough to show that this old man was very terrifying. Next to them, Bai Ziki and the others looked at the white-haired old man with solemn expressions. No one dared to be careless. The white-haired old man smiled. Relax, this old man really has no intention of harming you. Otherwise, none of you would be standing here unscathed. As he spoke, he looked at Lin Tian and spoke again with a smile on his face. You are very good and very interesting. This old man has come to invite you to join the Lord Theological Seminary. As soon as these words came out, Lin Tian was immediately moved, and his eyes could not help but tremble slightly. The celestial realm was vast, and there were endless continents. From low to high, they were divided into ordinary continents, king continents, immortal continents, and middle continents. Among them, there were endless ordinary continents, and it was impossible to count how many there were. There were a total of 49 king continents, and every king continent was comparable to more than 10,000 ordinary continents. There were many elites and celestial kings on them. There were a total of 12 immortal continents, and they were even more vast than the king continents. Every immortal continent was more vast than the 49 king continents combined. Moreover, on every immortal continent, there were huge aristocratic clans that had more than 10 true gods overseeing them. The middle continent was even more vast than the 12 immortal continents. It was at least several 100,000 times more vast. It was a great continent that was truly located at the center of the celestial realm, and it was frighteningly vast. And the Lord Theological Seminary was located in the middle continent. It was the true number one inheritance in the celestial realm, and it was difficult to say how long it had existed. It was said that in the past, it was founded by several elites at the level of divine emperors. Almost all of the super elites who shook the world in every era of the celestial realm had come from the Lord Theological Seminary. He didn't expect that this white-haired old man who suddenly appeared would actually speak like this and invite him to join the Lord Theological Seminary. This also made him realize even more how terrifying this old man was. Because since the old man could speak like this and invite him to join the Lord Theological Seminary, it was obvious that he was a higher-up of the Lord Theological Seminary, and since he was a higher-up of the Lord Theological Seminary, his cultivation was definitely very terrifying. Beside him, Bai Ziki, the White Tiger, Ling Yun, and Wishing Crocodile were naturally shocked as well. They had all seen the existence of the Lord Theological Seminary in some ancient books in the celestial realm. At this moment, when they heard what the white-haired old man said, they couldn't help but be shocked. "Old man, you're a member of the Lord Theological Seminary? A higher-up of the Lord Theological Seminary?" And Shui Shui's eyes widened. Even though he had already guessed that the white-haired old man was a member of the Lord Theological Seminary, he still couldn't help but ask this question. It was really because the Lord Theological Seminary was really too extraordinary, and the higher-ups of this seminary were all very terrifying. It could be said that the higher-ups of the Lord Theological Seminary were definitely all big shots of the celestial realm in this era. The smile on the white-haired old man's face didn't change as he nodded and said, "Yes." For a moment, Lin Tian and the others were even more shocked. After all, there was a big difference between them guessing that the white-haired old man was a higher-up of the Lord Theological Seminary, and the white-haired old man saying that he was a higher-up of the Lord Theological Seminary himself. Because the former was just a guess, while the latter was a certainty. The white-haired old man's gaze fell on Lin Tian, and he said with a smile, "How about it, little friend? Are you willing to accept this old man's invitation?" Lin Tian's eyes flickered with a faint light. He paused for a moment, and then shook his head and said, "I'm sorry, Senior. This junior is now used to freedom, and is no longer used to joining any faction or inheritance." The Lord Theological Seminary was the true #1 faction in the celestial realm. Moreover, it was also the absolute #1 inheritance in the other large worlds with the celestial realm as the center. Being able to enter the Lord Theological Seminary to cultivate was definitely something that all cultivators dreamed of. However, he wasn't that interested. If there wasn't anything special, he definitely wouldn't join any great faction or inheritance now. "Kid, aren't you being a little too straightforward with your rejection? That's the #1 inheritance in the celestial realm, the Lord Theological Seminary. There are a lot of benefits to entering and cultivating there." The white tiger glared at him. Lin Tian glanced sideways at it and didn't respond. He didn't want to be bound by any faction or inheritance now. The white-haired old man was also a little surprised. Since ancient times, countless cultivators dreamed of entering the Lord Theological Seminary. However, now, he represented the Lord Theological Seminary in inviting Lin Tian to enter the academy, but Lin Tian directly rejected his invitation. "Little fellow, you're really interesting. Since ancient times, you're the first person to reject the Lord Theological Seminary's invitation." Looking at Lin Tian, the white-haired old man wasn't angry at all at Lin Tian's rejection of his invitation. Instead, his smile grew wider. "Then, this old man will invite you again. This time, I think you won't reject." As he spoke, he raised his right hand slightly, and a 7-colored light source was formed from his divine power, and it jumped slightly in his hand. Immediately, Lin Tian's pupils shrank, and his expression changed. At the side, Bai Ziki, Ling Yun, the 5 Elements alligator, the white tiger, and the others couldn't help but be moved at this moment. "Have you seen this thing before?" Looking at the white-haired old man, Lin Tian asked in a low voice, and he became alert again. The 7-colored light source formed by the white-haired old man's divine power was about the size of a fist, and it was exactly the same as the sword soul fragment he was looking for. "I've seen 2 of them. One of them has been taken away by you, and the other one is in a special location." The white-haired old man smiled. Lin Tian's pupils shrank again. "You've seen me take this thing?" In the past, he had accidentally obtained the Rainbow Divine Sword in his sea of consciousness. Since then, he had embarked on the path of cultivation. After that, he had found more than 10 sword soul fragments in a row. He remembered the scene and the people around him clearly every time he found one. It seemed that he had never seen this old man nearby when he was looking for a sword soul fragment. "Not long ago, with the help of the animal skin ancient scroll I left behind, didn't you find a ball of this light source?" Chapter 1690. Upon hearing the white-haired old man's words, Lin Tian's expression changed slightly. "You were the one who engraved that animal skin ancient scroll?" Not long ago, Bai Ziki obtained an ancient god map that was engraved on animal skin. There was a piece of divine land on it, and he found a fragment of the sword soul in that piece of divine land. He never thought that the white-haired old man would be the one who engraved that ancient god map. Beside him, Baiziki and the others were also slightly surprised. The white-haired old man nodded and said, "When I first found that ball of light, I was only a celestial immortal. At that time, I couldn't take it away, so I engraved that map. In the years that followed, as my cultivation improved, I went there dozens of times. Unfortunately, the results were the same. After that, I found that what was needed to take it away was not power, but something else. So I simply threw that map out to the world and let the fated people in the world go there." As he spoke, the old man smiled and continued, "Of course, I also left a mark there. As long as someone can break the colorful barrier around the dozens of solitary peaks that surround that ball of light, I will be able to detect it immediately. I want to see who can take it away." He smiled and said, "A few days ago, I was reading some ancient history scrolls when I sensed a reaction from the mark I left there. So I went there. From a distance, I saw you take that ball of light into your body." Lin Tian was moved. Baiziki, the white tiger, and Ling Yun were also moved. That ancient god map was really engraved by this old man. "At that time, you went to that place?" Lin Tian was surprised. "Yes." The old man smiled and said, "If not, that true god-demon bird would have swallowed you." As soon as these words came out, Lin Tian, Baiziki, the white tiger, and Ling Yun were shocked again. "That demon bird was scared away by Senior?" Lin Tian asked. At that time, according to the records on the map of the ancient god, he obtained the sword soul fragment there. Many immortal king realm ferocious beasts rushed over, but he killed them all with the power of the sword soul. Then, a true god realm ferocious bird rushed over. At that time, even though he could activate the power of the sword soul, it was impossible for him to block it. After all, the power of the sword soul he could control was too little. It was impossible for him to kill a true god realm ferocious bird with the cultivation of a golden immortal at that time. At that time, he was already prepared for the situation to become very bad, but he didn't expect that the true divinity-level vicious bird that was charging over suddenly became terrified, and then turned around to flee. At that time, he, Baiziki, and the others were very puzzled, not understanding why that vicious bird suddenly retreated. So it turned out that it was related to this white-haired old man? The white-haired old man smiled and nodded. "Old man, you really scared him away?" The white tiger was surprised. Lin Tian, on the other hand, hurriedly bowed and thanked him. "Thank you for your help at that time, Senior." At that time, if the old man had not scared away the ferocious bird, their group would have most likely been in danger. Moreover, he did not doubt the old man's words. What the old man said was completely as if he had seen it with his own eyes, so it could not be false. Moreover, the old man's current cultivation was definitely very terrifying, so there was no need for him to make up such a lie to deceive him. The old man waved his hand and did not care much. Then, he smiled and said, "So now, are you willing to enter the Lord Theological Seminary?" The old man said, "If you join, I can tell you where the other ball of light is. That thing is very extraordinary and contains extremely mysterious power, and it seems that you really need that kind of thing." "Okay, I'll join." Lin Tian did not refuse this time and directly nodded. Not to mention that he had to know where the other sword soul fragment that the old man showed him was, just based on the fact that the old man had secretly helped them back then. He could not refuse the old man's face, so naturally, he had to agree to join the imperial courtyard. "Okay." The white-haired old man smiled and looked very calm, as if he knew from the beginning that Lin Tian would definitely join the imperial courtyard. "However, Senior, I have a request," Lin Tian said at this time. "Please let my friends join the imperial courtyard as well." The white-haired old man nodded and shifted his gaze to Shui and Baiziki. "The rare Shui bloodline has the qualifications to join the imperial courtyard. Not to mention the thunder god physique. I was planning to invite them too." Then, his gaze landed on Ling Yun. "Compared to the others, they are a little lacking, but they are much stronger than ordinary people, so they can join." He did not comment on the little Taichu, wishing crocodile, and white tiger, because these three could join the imperial courtyard as Lin Tian's battle beasts. There was no special request. Hey, senior, although what you said is true, can you not say it in front of me like this? I also want to save face. Ling Yun could not help but roll his eyes. The white-haired old man smiled and did not care about Ling Yun's complaints. On the other hand, Lin Tian was a little surprised. He looked at Shui and said, I didn't expect you to have the Shui bloodline. There were 12 king physiques in the world, and there were also many special bloodlines. The Shui bloodline was one of the many special bloodlines, which had an extremely strong ability to control water. Even in a place where there was no water, they could summon monstrous waves. At the same time, people with this bloodline would naturally be able to control the great Tao related to water, the celestial Tao, and the divine Tao as their cultivation level increased. Moreover, they could use these Tao to a terrifying extent, which was very shocking. Oh, it's like this. And Shui nodded. At this time, there was no need to hide anything. After all, Lin Tian was not an outsider. Moreover, Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu already knew about this, so Lin Tian and the others would know sooner or later. That's pretty good, Lin Tian said with a smile. The Shui bloodline was comparable to the king physique, and it also had special abilities that were similar to the king's territory of the king physique. I'm still far inferior to you. Anyway, I can't beat you in the same realm. Even if I'm 1 or 2 small levels higher than you, I don't think I stand a chance. And Shui pursed his lips and said. Lin Tianyi smiled and did not say anything. Ling Yun, the white tiger, and Bai Ziki, who were beside him, were slightly moved by Shui's Shui bloodline. After all, this bloodline was indeed extraordinary and had amazing power. Then, senior, can you tell me where the other cluster of 7-colored light is now? Lin Tian looked at the white-haired old man and asked seriously. The white-haired old man nodded. It's on a special ancient road that has existed for an extremely long time. No one has been able to take it away so far. Special ancient road? Where is it? Lin Tian asked. Chapter 1691. Upon hearing the white-haired old man's words, Lin Tian was slightly moved. That special ancient path could only be entered after 500 years. He paused slightly, but didn't ask any more questions. Since the old man before him said that he could enter after 500 years, then there was no need for him to ask any more questions. After 500 years, he could directly step onto that special ancient path. However, waiting for 500 years was still a little long, and he still felt slightly helpless about it. Of course, there was nothing he could do about it. Junior understands, he said to the white-haired old man. The white-haired old man nodded with a smile, and with a wave of his right hand, 4 ancient tokens glittering with golden light appeared. Each ancient token was inscribed with the ancient words, Emperor, and they fell into the hands of Lin Tian, and Shui, Bai Ziki, and Ling Yun respectively. Within a year, enter the Lord Theological Seminary with this Emperor token. If you don't enter within a year, then this token will be invalid. Lin Tian naturally understood that the old man meant that if they didn't enter the imperial courtyard within a year, then this ancient token would lose its effect, and they wouldn't be able to enter the Lord Theological Seminary. He said, All right, Junior understands. The white-haired old man smiled, and paused for a moment before he said, Before you enter the imperial courtyard, I'll briefly explain some things to you. Within the imperial courtyard, academy disciples are prohibited from killing each other, and at the same time, the academy will provide protection to all disciples. Even if you have great enemies in the celestial realm, as long as you're within the imperial courtyard, you don't have to worry about anything. Conversely, as long as you leave the imperial courtyard, no matter if you're killed by academy disciples or by others, the imperial courtyard won't interfere. Lin Tian and the others nodded. This could be considered a rule of the Lord Theological Seminary. It was simple, direct, and easy to understand. Then, senior, within the Lord Theological Seminary, What will happen if a relatively weak Imperial Courtyard disciple is killed by an extremely heaven-defying monstrous disciple? Lin Tian asked. The world of cultivation was a cruel place. Many sects had rules that forbade disciples from killing each other. However, these rules only applied to ordinary disciples. They were ineffective against powerful disciples. If a monster-level powerful disciple killed a relatively weak fellow disciple, the sect would not pursue the matter. After all, a sect would not punish a monster-level genius disciple for a relatively weak disciple. The white-haired old man clearly knew what Lin Tian was thinking. He smiled and said, "As long as you're in the Imperial Courtyard, all disciples are treated equally. Even if it's the first on the ranking of 100 immortals, if you kill another disciple of the Imperial Courtyard, you'll be punished severely." Lin Tian nodded. He did not doubt the white-haired old man's words. It seemed that the Lord Theological Seminary was very strict when it came to the rules of the academy. Soon after, he thought of something and asked, "The young Nine Heavens Supreme who's ranked first on the ranking of 100 immortals will also enter the Imperial Courtyard?" "Yes." The white-haired old man smiled faintly and said, "The people on the ranking of 100 immortals have always been invited by the Imperial Courtyard." Lin Tian understood. In other words, all the people on the ranking of 100 immortals would enter the Lord Theological Seminary in the future. This made his eyes gleam. If all the young Nine Heavens Supreme on the ranking of 100 immortals were gathered in the Lord Theological Seminary, then the Lord Theological Seminary was really a terrifying place. The real elites of the immortal realm and the surrounding macro worlds would all gather in the Imperial Courtyard. Baiziki's eyes also gleamed. Obviously, he was looking forward to the gathering of the Lord Theological Seminary. "I've said almost everything that needs to be said. Remember, within a year, enter the Lord Theological Seminary with the Emperor's token." The white-haired old man smiled. "Yes, Senior." Lin Tian nodded seriously. The white-haired old man smiled faintly. In the next moment, he disappeared like air. This old man doesn't have any aura when he moves. It's really scary, Wishing Crocodile said. And Shui Shui nodded and agreed. He said, "After all, he's the senior management of the Lord Theological Seminary. Those people are extremely terrifying. Even the top inheritances in the 12 immortal continents dare not provoke the senior management of the Lord Theological Seminary." Lin Tian didn't feel anything. He put the Emperor's token in his body and said, "There's still a year's time. Let's go to the Purple Carefree Treasure sect of Taining Prefecture to see Yaya, then go to the Lord Theological Seminary." Of course, the group had no objections. The space passage opened by the little Taichu hadn't disappeared. Immediately, the 4 people and 3 beasts stepped into the space passage and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Darkness shrouded their vision in an instant. In the next moment, a new light appeared in front of them. The group was shocked out of the space passage by a strong force and stepped on solid ground again. As far as the eye could see, the mountains were connected to each other. They were all very majestic, but they were far inferior to the Liangwang Prefecture. "This is the Taining Prefecture?" Ling Yan asked. Lin Tian nodded and looked around. Then, he called the group and went straight to the Purple Carefree Treasure sect. The group was very fast. It didn't take long for them to arrive outside the Purple Carefree Treasure sect. The Purple Carefree Treasure sect was located in a group of immortal mountains. There were many palaces. When the group arrived outside the Purple Carefree Treasure sect, it was very quiet. Why is there no one guarding the gate? In the past, there were disciples who took turns guarding the gate. Wishing Crocodile was a little curious. Lin Tian was also a little puzzled. Then, his eyes moved slightly and looked at the center of the Purple Carefree Treasure sect. There was a whiff of blood. Baiziki and the others also smelled the blood. And Shui Shui frowned and said, "Something bad happened?" Lin Tian looked at the center of the Purple Carefree Treasure sect and said, "Let's go." He called Baiziki, Lingyun, and Shui Shui and the others to go directly to the center of the Purple Carefree Treasure sect. At the center of the Purple Carefree Treasure sect, there was a huge square with many people. All the disciples of the Purple Carefree Treasure sect were here. There were many corpses on the square. There were corpses of ordinary Purple Carefree Treasure Sect disciples and even the corpses of Purple Carefree Treasure Sect elders who were at the Golden Immortal Realm. Ningziwei, don't struggle. Submit to the Tai Celestial Treasure Sect obediently and submit to us. Otherwise, your Purple Carefree Treasure Sect will become the dust of history. A purple-robed old man said. There was a faint heavenly immortal chi around his body. His cultivation was at the half-step heavenly immortal realm. There were 8 other middle-aged men beside him. All of them were at the half-step mystic immortal realm. They looked coldly at all the disciples of the Purple Carefree Treasure Sect in the square. Don't even think about it. On the Purple Carefree Treasure Sect's side, a green-robed old man had blood stains on the corner of his mouth. He was the current patriarch of the Purple Carefree Treasure Sect. He was severely injured. After spitting out those 2 words, it seemed to have affected his injuries. He immediately coughed out a mouthful of blood essence. Grandfather. Beside the old man, Ning Yeye in a green dress was supporting him. Her body was also stained with blood. Apparently, she was seriously injured. She supported the old man with worry in her eyes. Then she glared at the purple-robed old man and said, "We will not submit to you even if all of us die. Give up!" How could the sect that had been passed down by their ancestors submit to others and be controlled by others? How could they give it up? That would be unfilial. There was another woman beside Ning Yeye who was supporting the patriarch of the Purple Carefree Treasure Sect. She was Hai Jingyao, a friend of Ning Yeye's in the Sea region. At this moment, she was also determined. Apparently, she was prepared to live and die with the Purple Carefree Treasure Sect. Since you don't appreciate the opportunity given to you, don't blame me for being merciless. The purple-robed old man's expression was indifferent. He was the current patriarch of the Tai Immortal Treasure Sect. He directly ordered the other 8 middle-aged men beside him. Those who are unwilling to submit to the Tai Immortal Treasure Sect, regardless of whether they are high-ranking or ordinary disciples, kill them all. Even if there is only an empty Purple Carefree Treasure Sect left in the end, we will take it into the hands of the Tai Immortal Treasure Sect. The current patriarch of the Tai Immortal Treasure Sect had broken through to the half-step heavenly immortal realm not long ago. In this small Tai Ning province, such a realm was definitely an emperor-like existence. He had even surpassed the founding patriarch of the Tai Immortal Treasure Sect. This powerful strength naturally gave rise to ambition. After reaching the half-step heavenly immortal realm, the current patriarch of the Tai Immortal Treasure Sect immediately decided to unify the Tai Ning province, and put all the forces in the Tai Ning province under the rule of the Tai Immortal Treasure Sect. Now, 5 of the 10 most powerful sects in the Tai Ning province had submitted to the Tai Immortal Treasure Sect. This was because the patriarch of the half-step heavenly immortal treasure sect was too powerful. No one in the Tai Ning province could compete with him, and no one dared to go against his will. The submission of the 5 great treasure sects made the current generation's grand ancestor, and the 8 grand elders of the immortal treasure sect in high spirits and complacent. They firmly believed that the other 9 great treasure sects and the other powers in the tranquil province would all submit to them obediently, without a doubt. However, after arriving at the Purple Carefree Treasure Sect, the patriarch of the Purple Heaven Immortal Treasure Sect bluntly refused to submit. This made the patriarch of the Tai Immortal Treasure Sect and the 8 middle-aged patriarchs of the Tai Immortal Treasure Sect very unhappy. They directly killed many disciples and elders of the Purple Heaven Immortal Treasure Sect to establish their prestige and forced the patriarch of the Purple Heaven Immortal Treasure Sect to submit. However, even so, the patriarch of the Purple Heaven Immortal Treasure Sect still refused to submit. This made the patriarch of the Tai Immortal Treasure Sect and the 8 patriarchs of the Tai Immortal Treasure Sect even more unhappy. Their eyes became very cold. Do it! Those who are unwilling to submit, kill them all and hang their corpses outside the Purple Heaven Immortal Treasure Sect. Let the other forces see what will happen if they don't submit to our Tai Immortal Treasure Sect later. At the same time, let the 5 sects who chose to submit to us understand how wise their choice was. The patriarch of the Tai Immortal Treasure Sect said coldly. After saying that, he didn't move because the killing formation of the Purple Heaven Immortal Treasure Sect had been destroyed by him. The only profound immortal expert in the sect, the Patriarch of the Purple Heaven Immortal Treasure sect, was severely injured by him. The rest of the higher-ups were also injured by him. The entire Purple Heaven Immortal Treasure sect had no power to resist. The 8 patriarchs of the Tai Immortal Treasure sect were enough to deal with everything. The 8 patriarchs of the Tai Immortal Treasure sect moved. They closed in on the Patriarch of the Purple Heaven Immortal Treasure sect and the higher-ups with cruel killing intent. For a moment, the Patriarch of the Purple Heaven Immortal Treasure sect and the other higher-ups of the Purple Heaven Immortal Treasure sect had a very ugly expression. They were severely injured now and didn't have any power to resist. They couldn't stop the 8 patriarchs of the Tai Immortal Treasure sect at all. Don't be complacent. You've destroyed us now. In the future you won't have a good ending. Ning Yeye glared at the Patriarch of the Tai Immortal Treasure sect and the other middle-aged patriarchs. Brother Lin Tian is still in our Purple Heaven Immortal Treasure sect. When he finds out what you've done in the future, he won't let you go. Absolutely not. A middle-aged patriarch of the Tai Immortal Treasure sect had a cold expression. Brother Lin Tian? You're from the Purple Heaven Immortal Treasure sect? You won't let us go after you find out? What a joke! This person's expression was indifferent and had a ruthless sarcasm. Your grandfather, the strongest person in the Purple Heaven Immortal Treasure sect, couldn't stop us. Who is this Lin Tian you're talking about? What can he do? I can kill all of you. A calm voice suddenly sounded. Then, a golden sword light pierced through the chest of the Patriarch of the Tai Immortal Treasure sect who spoke. It directly shattered his body and destroyed his divine soul. Not far away, Lin Tian appeared with Bai Ziki and the others. In the blink of an eye, they stepped into the square of the Purple Heaven Immortal Treasure sect. P.S. Today and tomorrow will be the 3rd update. I'm going to make up for the 2 chapters 1.0 this month. After that, everyone should follow the Dragon's official WeChat account. Click Add a friend on the top right corner of WeChat, then search for Sleepy Dragon, and click Follow. Tomorrow, the Dragon will release the Old Drunkard side story on his official WeChat account. At the same time, the Dragon will also announce the update time every day on his official WeChat account. The Dragon is waiting for you. Chapter 1692. Blood floated in the air as a half-step mysterious Immortal Realm Elder from the Immortal Treasure sect was annihilated by a single strike of the sword. After that, Lin Tian, Bai Ziki, and the others appeared at the square of the Violet Firmament Treasure sect, and it caused all the disciples of the Violet Firmament Treasure sect to be visibly moved. Lin Tian! Lin Tian had cultivated in Purple Shao Treasure sect for a period of time, so the higher-ups and disciples of Purple Shao Treasure sect naturally recognized him. Brother Lin Tian! Ning Yeye revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. At this critical juncture, Lin Tian had actually appeared here. The Grand Ancestor of Tai Immortal Treasure sect and the other 7 middle-aged elders revealed a cold expression. Now there was someone who dared to kill their people in Taining province. All of them looked at Lin Tian coldly. Then, in the next moment, these people were shocked again. Even the Grand Ancestor of Tai Immortal Treasure sect was no exception. It's you! The Grand Ancestor of Tai Immortal Treasure sect stared at Lin Tian and said in a low voice. Now, the cultivation world of the Immortal Realm was in an uproar twice. Lin Tian had killed Jia Zijing and Mu Zhanyan on the ranking of 100 Immortals. This news had spread to Taining province, and many experts had already heard about it. Now that he suddenly saw Lin Tian in this place, it was hard for him not to be shocked when he saw this person who had killed 2 young supreme beings on the ranking of 100 Immortals. Lin Tian didn't care about the Grand Ancestor of Tai Immortal Treasure sect and stepped to Ning Yeye's side. Brother Lin Tian! Ning Yeye shouted again. She had also heard that Lin Tian had killed 2 young supremes on the ranking of 100 Immortals. Previously, she was shocked and worried about Lin Tian. Now that she saw Lin Tian, she was pleasantly surprised and happy. Then, she looked around and saw An Shui Shui and the others. Sister An, Little Tai Shu, Uncle Croc, Brother Lin Tian, we found you! When she saw An Shui Shui and the others, she was even happier. Before they parted ways in the sea, Lin Tian said that he would come to Tai Ning province to see her after he found in Shui and the others. Now, he really did come. Then, she greeted Ling Yun, the white tiger, and Bai Ziki, whom she met for the first time. She was very polite. "Little Ye? Are you little Ye? He's already grown so big." And Shui walked over and squatted down beside Ning Ye. It had been more than 300 years since they parted because of certain matters. "Yes, it's Ye. Sister, and you've become prettier." Ning Ye nodded and smiled sweetly. "Ye is also very beautiful." And Shui smiled. Like Lin Tianyi, he liked Ning Ye very much. When they first met Ning Ye was only 13 or 14 years old. At that time, Ning Ye was chased by a terrifying beast and appeared in their field of vision. Then, in order not to implicate them, Ning Ye still chose to change her direction even though she knew that changing the direction of her escape would put her in a more dangerous situation. She was very kind. After that, in the Purple Heaven Treasure sect, a group of inner sect disciples found trouble with Lin Tian. When Ning Ye returned to the sect and learned about what happened, she immediately helped them. She even activated the sect protection killing formation without hesitation and forced the elders to apologize to Lin Tian Dao. How could they not like her? At this time, Lin Tian also walked closer. He squatted down and activated the sun's nirvana art. A divine light with blood-red flames immediately appeared and enveloped Ning Ye, Hai Jingyao, and the ancestor of the Purple Heaven sect, healing their injuries. The sun's nirvana art was an amazing saint healing art. He used this art to heal the three of them. Although the three of them were seriously injured, they quickly recovered. Their essence, chi, and spirit were quickly recovering. "Young man, thank you!" The ancestor of the Purple Heaven sect thanked Lin Tian Dao. At the same time, there was a hint of surprise in his eyes. This was the first time he saw Lin Tian. However, Ning Ye had told him many things about Lin Tian in their spare time. Moreover, he had also heard about how Lin Tian killed Jia Zijing and Wu Zhanyan. Therefore, although this was the first time he saw Lin Tian, he was not unfamiliar with Lin Tian. "Senior, you're too polite. After all, I used to cultivate in the Purple Heaven Treasure sect. Moreover, you are little Ye's relative. This is naturally what I should do. Senior, you don't have to be so polite," Lin Tian said with a smile. He used the sun's nirvana art to heal the injuries of the ancestor of the Purple Heaven sect, Ning Ye, and Hai Jingyao. "Humph!" At this moment, a cold snort sounded. The ancestor of this generation of the Tai Celestial Treasure sect moved. He approached Lin Tian step by step. "I didn't expect that the Lin Tian that Ning Ziwei's granddaughter mentioned was you, the murderer who killed the holy sons of the Jia clan and Mu clan." Looking at Lin Tian, a cold smile appeared on his face. "This is really a great harvest. If I take your head and hand it over to the Jia family and Mu family, I will be able to obtain a great favor from those two powerful families. This is more valuable than taking over the Purple Heaven Treasure sect. Old man, since you know that Lin Tian killed Jia Zijing and Mu Zhanyan, you still dare to be so arrogant? You want to fight? Are you out of your mind?" The white tiger looked askance at the ancestor of the Tai Celestial Treasure sect. The ancestor of the Tai Celestial Treasure sect sneered. "Who in the world doesn't know that he killed the holy sons of the Jia clan and Mu clan because he was prepared in advance? He is only at the middle stage of the Xian immortal realm. How can he kill those two with his own strength?" He approached Lin Tian and said, "Now that you have come to this place, what can he do? He can't be prepared at all. With his cultivation at the middle stage of the Xian immortal realm, how can he compete with me? He is just an ant in my hands." At this moment, Lin Tian was treating the ancestor of the Purple Heaven Treasure sect, Ning Ye, and Hai Jingyao's injuries. The ancestor of this generation of the Tai Celestial Treasure sect naturally noticed Lin Tian's current cultivation, so he didn't care about Lin Tian at all. Middle stage of the Xian immortal realm was not weak, but he was already a half-step heaven immortal. How could a half-step heaven immortal lose to a middle stage of the Xian immortal realm? The white tiger curled his lips when he heard that. What a self-righteous frog in the well! The ancestor of the Tai Celestial Treasure sect sneered. He took a few steps forward and directly raised his hand to grab Lin Tian. Hey! The other 7 elders of the Tai Celestial Treasure sect stood at the back and sneered. Moreover, their eyes couldn't help but emit wisps of light. Just as their ancestor of the Tai Celestial Treasure sect had said, if they killed Lin Tian and offered Lin Tian's head to the Jia clan and the Mu clan, they would be able to form a relationship with the Jia clan and the Mu clan. In this way, it would be of great significance to the Tai Celestial Treasure sect. It was much better than controlling the Purple Heaven Treasure sect. At this moment, they also believed that their ancestor could kill Lin Tian because they could see that Lin Tian didn't have any special preparations at this moment. Under such circumstances, so what if Lin Tian was at the middle stage of the Xian Immortal Realm? He wouldn't be able to resist at all. This was because their ancestor of this generation had reached the half-step Heaven Immortal Realm. In front of a half-step Heaven Immortal Realm expert, a middle-stage Xian Immortal Realm cultivator wouldn't be able to resist at all. Buzz! The ancestor of the Tai Celestial Treasure sect's huge hand covered the sky and intertwined with an extremely terrifying aura. In the blink of an eye, it pressed down on Lin Tian. This was a very terrifying palm. It completely sealed the space around Lin Tian, not giving Lin Tian a chance to escape. Little friend, be careful! The Purple Heaven ancestor shouted. Ning Yeye and Hai Jingyao also hurriedly warned Lin Tian to be careful. Lin Tianan smiled and said, don't worry about anything. As he said this, he turned his back to the ancestor of the Tai Celestial Treasure sect. With one hand, he circulated the Sun Nirvana technique to heal the 3 of them. He raised his other hand and slapped backward, colliding with the huge hand of the Tai Celestial Treasure sect's ancestor. When the 2 hands collided, there was a loud bang. In the next moment, the ancestor of the Tai Celestial Treasure sect's huge hand shattered, and blood splattered in the air. At the same time, he was sent flying like a scarecrow, smashing a part of the void. For a time, other than Bai Ziki, and Shui, and the others, everyone else in this place turned pale with fright. Ancestor! The 7 half-step Xian Immortal Elders of the Tai Celestial Treasure sect were shocked. Their ancestor of this generation was a half-step Heavenly Immortal, but now, his arm was shattered by a middle-stage Xian Immortal. Is this the Lin Tian who used to cultivate in our sect? He's already so strong? He actually defeated the half-step Heavenly Immortal Tai Celestial Treasure sect's ancestor. The disciples of the Purple Heaven Treasure sect were shocked, especially the inner disciples of the Purple Heaven Treasure sect who had troubled Lin Tian before. At this moment, they couldn't help but feel horrified. A middle-stage Xian Immortal could shatter the huge hand of a half-step Heavenly Immortal with a casual wave of his hand. This combat strength was too terrifying and frightening. Some of the elders of the Tai Celestial Treasure sect were also shocked. The person who used to cultivate in their sect had become so strong after more than 300 years. He had completely surpassed them. He's so strong! Ning Yeye was also surprised, but more than that, she was excited. After all, she had seen Lin Tian's combat strength, and knew that Lin Tian's combat strength couldn't be measured by common sense. Boom! A shocking divine power rushed out. In the distance, the Tai Celestial Treasure sect's ancestor of this generation stepped back, and his shattered arm was restored. You have a strong physique. This old man has underestimated you. Looking at Lin Tian again, the coldness in Ancestor Tai Celestial's eyes became thicker, and his killing intent became thicker. He pressed forward again. However, it's not a big deal to have a strong physique. Divine power and law are the most important things for a cultivator. I'll let you see how strong a half-step Heavenly Immortal expert is. As he said that, with a boom, a vast amount of divine power rushed out from his body, interweaving into a terrifying law. It was like a vast wave of divine power and law swept across this space, as if it could annihilate everything. This aura. The disciples of the Purple Heaven Treasure sect trembled. At this moment, the divine power law displayed by Ancestor Tai Celestial terrified them. After all, This was the divine power law of a half-step heavenly immortal expert. It was too strong for ordinary disciples of the Purple Heaven Treasure sect. Obediently accept your death, Ancestor Tai Celestial said coldly. The half-step heavenly immortal level divine power and law directly pressed down on Lin Tian, and at the same time, his eyes were interweaving with divine light. After killing Lin Tian, he could even ignore the Purple Heaven Treasure sect and directly take Lin Tian's body to the Jia family and the Mu family. At that time, he would definitely be able to get a favor from the two families. And this favor was too valuable for him and the Tai Celestial Treasure sect. It was too valuable to be estimated. For him and the Tai Celestial Treasure sect, at this moment, Lin Tian was the most valuable prey here. With a rumble, he pressed down on Lin Tian with the half-step heavenly immortal level divine power, and his momentum gradually became more terrifying. A half-step heavenly immortal expert is very strong? Lin Tian still had his back to Ancestor Tai Celestial, and said, Then I'll let you see how strong a mid-stage Xian immortal expert is. As soon as he finished speaking, with a boom, the reincarnation diagram rushed out from behind him, and a vast divine light bloomed in all directions. Chapter 1693. The reincarnation diagram rushed up, surrounded by divine light, and carried an incomparably dignified aura. It was like the first saint diagram of the creation of the world. It immediately shook the void in this area, and many places began to crack with crackling sounds. The next moment, the reincarnation map collided with the divine power law of the Grand Ancestor of Tai Xianao sect. For a moment, the sky was filled with divine light, and the destructive aura was like a raging wave, sweeping across all directions. Puff! Blood splattered everywhere, accompanied by a muffled groan. The divine power law of the Grand Ancestor of Tai Xianbao sect was crushed by the reincarnation map. Then, the reincarnation map fell on his chest, shattering his half-step divine immortal body into a bloody mist. Grand Ancestor! How is this possible? Impossible! The 7 middle-aged elders of Tai Xianbao sect trembled, and their expressions changed drastically. Their current generation's patriarch, a half-step heavenly immortal, had actually been instantly shattered by a mid-Xian immortal cultivator when he used his half-step heavenly immortal level law of divine energy. Then, his body was shattered as well. In the eyes of the 7 elders of Tai Xianbao sect, this scene was too shocking. They could not believe it. At the same time, the expressions of the cultivators and elders of the Violet Heaven Precious sect changed again. All of them were shocked. This is really... The Grand Ancestor of Purple Heaven was shocked, and his eyelids twitched violently. A middle-stage Xian immortal cultivator could shatter a half-step divine immortal so easily. This was simply unreal. Brother Lin Tian is indeed worthy of his name. He's really powerful. Too powerful. Ning Yeye was excited and happy. Lin Tianyi smiled. Although his cultivation was at the middle stage Xian immortal, as the strongest reincarnated body, he had experienced many heavenly tribulations along the way. He could be called an emperor below divine immortal with his cultivation at the middle stage Xian immortal level. An ordinary half-step divine immortal cultivator could not stop him at all. He continued to use the sun's nirvana technique to heal the injuries of the Grand Ancestor of Purple Heaven, Ning Yeye, and Hai Jingyao. Boom! Behind him, the divine power intertwined, and the Grand Ancestor of Tai Xianbao sect regathered his body. His face turned pale. That picture just now, what is that? Staring at Lin Tian, the half-step heaven immortal patriarch of Immortal Treasure sect could not help but clench his teeth with a cold gleam in his eyes. The reincarnation diagram just now was really too terrifying, but it didn't feel like an ordinary divine ability's secret art to him. Lin Tiantan smiled. Naturally, he wouldn't reply. It was also at this time that he stopped circulating the sun's nirvana art. The injuries of Ning Yeye and the others had been completely healed. He stood up and glanced at the corpses of the disciples of the Violet Cloud's treasure sect, including some elders. Then, he looked at the ancestor of the Immortal Treasure sect and said, I used to practice cultivation here, But you came here to kill people because of your wild ambitions. You destroyed this place, you hurt my friends and my friends' families. Now I'm going to settle the score with you. When he arrived at this place, he heard the conversation between Patriarch Taisien and the others, and learned a lot of things. Settle accounts with this old man? Do you really think that you're a match for me just because you were lucky enough to injure me twice? Patriarch Taisien's eyes were cold. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a boom, and a divine power even more terrifying than before rushed out. Vast divine light interweaved in all directions, and all kinds of celestial shadows were formed above his head. Each celestial shadow was extremely terrifying, and it was a terrifying killing technique. Moreover, this killing technique was intertwined with an even more terrifying Tao energy, as if it could destroy everything. For a moment, the cultivators of the Violet Cloud's treasure sect trembled again. They were all shocked by this aura. This is the first time I've shown my full strength after stepping into the half-step heavenly immortal realm. You'll be the first to bear it. Patriarch Taisien stood in the void, and his voice was cold. Lin Tianyi smiled. So you're saying that I should feel honored? You can say that. Patriarch Taisien displayed his strongest combat strength. The law of divine energy was much stronger than before, and he activated the most powerful profound divine art of the Immortal Treasure sect. At this time, he looked at Lin Tianyi with a condescending attitude. Lin Tianyi looked at this person, and the smile on his face became wider. He said, "Your attitude is a little funny." As soon as he finished speaking, he moved and disappeared. Then, he appeared in front of Patriarch Taisien in the next moment. Patriarch Taisien's expression changed. He was shocked by Lin Tianyi's speed. "You get down!" Lin Tianyi said coldly, and directly swung the Chaos Emperor fist. With a thump, a terrifying fist force swept out, crushing all of the divine power precepts around the Grand Elder Taisien's body. Then, the fist landed on the Grand Elder Taisien's chest, directly piercing through it, and instantly blasting him out of the void. As blood splattered everywhere, the next moment, there was a loud bang. Patriarch Taisien fell to the ground, and directly smashed a huge deep hole in the ground. Smoke and dust rose into the air. Patriarch! The 7 elders of Taisien Treasure Sect were shocked again, and all of them trembled. Just now, their patriarch of this generation had already used the strongest combat strength of a half-step celestial immortal, but Lin Tianyi still destroyed all his law of divine energy, and smashed their patriarch of this generation into the void. The disciples of Purple Heaven Treasure Sect were even more shocked. They were deeply shocked by this scene. Too strong! This is simply. Elder Purple Heaven's lips could not help but tremble as he spoke. Only Bai Ziki and Shui were very calm. They knew how strong Lin Tianyi's combat strength was now. An ordinary half-step celestial immortal could not fight Lin Tianyi. Swoosh! The sound of the air breaking rang out. Lin Tianyi moved and in the next moment, appeared beside Patriarch Taisien, who was rolling on the ground. He directly landed a foot on his opponent's chest, firmly pressing him under his feet. At the same time, he raised his right hand, and golden divine light intertwined to form a 3-foot-long golden killing sword. Wait! Don't kill me! Patriarch Taisien was being stepped under Lin Tianyi's foot. His chest was bleeding, and blood was gushing out of his mouth. At this time, he truly felt the horror of Lin Tianyi, and he was extremely shocked. At this time, when he saw Lin Tianyi condensing a golden killing sword, he was obviously going to kill him. Patriarch Taisien's eyes were filled with terror. Without hesitation, he begged for mercy. "I can tell you a very mysterious place. There are many divine items and immortal treasures in that place. I found that place by accident, and obtained some amazing immortal fruits. That's how I reached the half-step celestial immortal stage." As if he was worried that Lin Tian wouldn't believe him, he directly opened the divine sense imprint, and revealed a treasure cave filled with strange lights. It was colorful and looked very extraordinary. "That is a celestial cave. I have only reached the middle section and I have already obtained many extraordinary spiritual fruits. There will definitely be even more amazing divine items in the later sections. With your strength, you should be able to obtain them, he quickly said. If you let me go, I will immediately tell you the specific location of the Immortal Cave. It will definitely be very beneficial for you. Chapter 1694. Lin Tian couldn't help but be moved when he heard Patriarch Tai Xian's words and saw his divine sense imprint. The Immortal Cave depicted in Forefather Tai Immortal's spiritual sense imprint was indeed extraordinary. It shone with a myriad of colors and seemed to contain many wondrous treasures. This place seems to be extraordinary. At the side, the Five Elements crocodile was also moved. It's worth exploring. The white tiger's eyes lit up. They had good eyesight and could tell at a glance that the Immortal Cave displayed by Patriarch Tai Xian was very valuable. At the same time, the others in this place were also moved. What? What do you think? As long as you don't kill me, I'll tell you the exact location of the Immortal Cave immediately. Patriarch Tai Xian looked at Lin Tian, his voice trembling. Now, his life was in Lin Tian's hands. Lin Tian looked at Patriarch Tai Xian, paused, and said, "Say it." Patriarch Tai Xian was delighted and immediately said without hesitation, "It's in the center of the Ring Abyss mountain range in the northwest of Tai Ning province." Then, he told Lin Tian the exact coordinates. He didn't dare to hide anything, only wanting to satisfy Lin Tian. Lin Tian nodded and said with a smile, "Okay, thank you." As soon as he finished speaking, the golden divine sword in his hand slashed down diagonally. Patriarch Tai Xian immediately became frightened and angry. "You promise not to kill me if I tell you the location of the Immortal Cave." Puff! Blood splashed, interrupting Patriarch Tai Xian's words. His head was cut off, and even his divine soul was annihilated. "I don't remember promising not to kill you," Lin Tian muttered to himself. "Patriarch!" The 7 elders of Tai Xian treasure faction trembled fiercely. The strongest patriarch of their faction, a half-step heaven immortal expert, was enough to dominate Tai Ning province. Now, he was beheaded in front of them. The 7 of them couldn't help but show fear in their eyes. On the other hand, the disciples and elders of the Violet Heaven Treasure sect looked happy and relieved. Many of them were clenching their fists because the Grand Ancestor of the Violet Heaven Treasure sect had led several Grand Elders into the Violet Heaven Treasure sect and killed many of their fellow disciples. "Great! That's great!" Ning Yeya was excited and happy. It was also at this time that the 7 half-step mystic immortal elders of Immortal Peace Treasure sect all flew out of Violet Firmament Treasure sect. Now, even their strongest half-step celestial immortal patriarch had been killed by Lin Tian. If they stayed, what would happen to them? There was only death. Thus, at this time, escaping was naturally the only choice. Lin Tian looked at the 7 of them, and did not give chase. With a wave of his hand, 7 golden sword lights shot out in a straight line. The speed of the sword ray was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, the sword caught up with the 7 people and pierced into their bodies. Immediately, the 7 Tai celestial elders were killed in body and soul. After all, the 7 of them were only half-step celestial immortals, while he was at the middle stage celestial immortal realm. Such cultivation was naturally weak in his hands. He could kill them with a wave of his hand. The disciples and elders of the Violet Heaven Treasure sect were stunned again. Then, they were all excited and pleasantly surprised. All taken care of. Our sect is saved. That's great. Many people were talking to themselves excitedly. The Grand Ancestor of the Violet Heaven Treasure sect had a high cultivation level. However, at this time, he was just like the ordinary disciples of the Violet Heaven Treasure sect. His face was full of excitement, and he was even more excited than the ordinary disciples of the Violet Heaven Treasure sect. After all, the Violet Heaven Treasure sect was founded by his ancestor. It meant a lot to him. "Thank you, my young friend. I am very grateful. Walking in front of Lin Tian, the Grand Ancestor of the Violet Heaven Treasure sect bowed and thanked Lin Tian Dao excitedly. Thank you, Brother Lin Tian. Ningye also thanked Lin Tiandao with a sweet smile on her face. Lin Tian gently lifted the grand ancestor of the Violet Heaven Treasure Sect and said with a smile, Senior, you are welcome. You really don't have to. After all, he had cultivated here before and was friends with Ningye. Now that he had returned and encountered such a situation, he naturally had to help. No matter what, I have to thank you. This is a great kindness, the grand ancestor of the Violet Heaven Treasure Sect said solemnly. On this day, in a hall in the center of the Violet Heaven Treasure Sect, the grand ancestor of the Violet Heaven Treasure Sect and the higher-ups of the Violet Heaven Treasure Sect were entertaining Lin Tian and the others. All kinds of celestial fruits and spiritual tea were placed out. After that, Lin Tianyi and the others stayed in the Violet Heaven Treasure Sect for 3 days. 3 days later. On this day, Lin Tian gave Ningye and Ningye's good friend Hai Jingyao some treasures and a peak mysterious celestial artifact. Then, he said goodbye to Ningye, Hai Jingyao and the grand ancestor of the Violet Heaven Treasure Sect and prepared to leave. Yeah, Senior Ning, remember not to tell others that I have cultivated in the Violet Heaven Treasure Sect. Ask the disciples to keep their mouths shut. You know that I killed Jia Zijing and Mu Zhanyan. The families behind those two are very powerful. If they know that I have cultivated here and have something to do with you, they may do harm to you. Before leaving, he said to Ningye and the grand ancestor of the Violet Heaven Treasure Sect. The grand ancestor of the Violet Heaven Treasure Sect understood and said, Got it, little friend. Little friend, you must be careful too. Yeye will work hard to cultivate and try to help Brother Lin Tian in the future. Ningye said. Be careful. Safety first. Hai Jingyao said. Lin Tian nodded with a smile and said goodbye to the group. Then, he left directly with Bai Ziki and the others. They were very fast. Soon, they were far away from the Violet Heaven Treasure Sect. Let's go to the Immortal Cave! The 5 Elements crocodile clicked its tongue. Of course. Lin Tian nodded. Leaving the Violet Heaven Treasure Sect at this time, of course, they had to go to the Immortal Cave mentioned by the Grand Ancestor Tai Xian. The inside of the square Immortal Cave seemed to be truly extraordinary. It seemed to contain many rare treasures that might be able to increase their cultivation by a large amount once again. The improvement of their cultivation was very important for them now. After that, they would enter the Lord Theological Seminary within a year. Everyone there was strong, so they had to have a strong cultivation. Moreover, the Jia family, the He family, and the Mu family, these 3 powerful enemies, would definitely not let them go. They had to have a strong strength to deal with them. Although little Taichu's strength was terrifying now, they could not only rely on little Taichu. The most important thing was to become stronger by themselves. The scenery on both sides moved back quickly. They went all the way to the northwest of Taining Province. Soon, they crossed dozens of ancient mountains and came to a ring of mountains. This is the Ring Abyss mountain range. The white tiger stared at the front. Lin Tian nodded. According to the divine sense imprint and what Grand Ancestor Tai Xian said, this is the place. Then, he led Bai Ziki and the others to the specific coordinates given by Grand Ancestor Tai Xian. They came to the center of the Ring Abyss mountain range and entered a valley. Then, not long after, they saw a mountain cave in front of them. It fell at the foot of a mountain, and was covered by some very dense and strange grass. If they did not look carefully, they would not be able to find it. It's here. Let's go in. Lin Tian now. He led the way at the front, and the group stepped directly into the mountain cave. As they entered the mountain cave, the air suddenly became warm, and little bits of celestial spirit light intertwined in the air. It's really an extraordinary place. Ling Yun narrowed his eyes. As soon as they entered the mountain cave, there was immediately celestial spirit light floating in the air. It was a completely different scene from the outside world. It was very extraordinary. Let's go deeper. Lin Tian now. The mountain cave was very spacious, and the deeper they went, the more spacious it became. The celestial spirit light in the air also became more and more numerous. Not long after, a small strange tree appeared in front of them. It was about 7 inches tall, with lush branches and leaves, and an astonishing amount of Tao power intertwined. It seems like there used to be fruits on it, but they were taken away, and Shui Shui said. She was a cultivator, so her eyesight was naturally extraordinary. At a glance, she saw the traces of fruits on this small strange tree. It should have been taken away by that grand ancestor Tai Xian, Wishing Crocodile said. Let's keep going. Lin Tian now. The immortal cave was very deep. As the group continued to walk, the celestial spirit light became even thicker. Along the way, they saw some strange plants, and at the same time, they saw traces of excavation in the soil. Something good must have been taken away by someone. Regarding this, the group did not need to think to know that the person who took those things away was this generation's grand ancestor of the Tai Xian treasure sect. They continued to walk inside, and soon, another hour passed. After an hour, the celestial spirit light in the air became thicker, and the Tao power was more shocking. However, at the same time, there was an additional pressure in the air. Clang! The white tiger did not know what it touched, but a murderous light suddenly rushed up from the ground. It was very sharp and almost pierced through it. It was so shocked that all the hair on its body stood on end. What's going on? It had a lingering fear in its heart. That murderous light just now was too sudden, and it was extremely terrifying. Let the experts analyze it, Ling Yan said and looked at Lin Tian. At the same time, the others around them also looked at Lin Tian. Lin Tian naturally observed the surroundings at the first moment. He paused for a moment before saying, There's an earth vein killing formation here. A single misstep will lead to the killing force within the earth vein killing formation. Even heavenly immortals might not be able to resist it. Do you know how to accurately walk through this earth vein killing formation? Wishing Crocodile asked. Of course. Lin Tian nodded. With his mystic immortal cultivation, it was not difficult for him to walk through such a earth vein killing formation with the dragon burial scripture. In fact, with the little Taichu's strength, it was completely possible for him to forcefully lead them through this place. After all, the little Taichu's cultivation was at the mid-stage of the immortal king realm. It could completely withstand the earth vein killing formation in this place. However, since he had a way to walk through it, there was no need to let the little Taichu do it. He could not become dependent on it. At that moment, he activated the dragon burial scripture. The dragon patterns interweaved and searched in all directions, leading the group into the depths of the immortal cave. That Patriarch Tai Immortal should have stopped outside the earth vein killing formation just now, the white tiger said. Obviously so, Ling Yan said. Lin Tian did not say anything. The dragon pattern circled around and led the group into the depths of the immortal cave. Then, more than 2 hours passed in the blink of an eye. He used the dragon burial scripture to lead the group across several terrifying earth vein killing formations and finally reached the end of the immortal cave. As far as the eye could see, the end of the immortal cave was very spacious. The immortal spiritual light was extremely vast. There was an ancient tree that was 90 feet tall in front of them. It was flowing with colorful lights and there were strange spiritual fruits on it. The ultimate immortal treasure tree. Lin Tian was moved, and 2 rays of light flashed across his eyes. Chapter 1695. At the end of the immortal cave, the strange tree was about 9 feet tall. It was flowing with light and vibrant colors, and there were fist-sized fruits on it. Every fruit was surrounded by strange patterns, as if the Tao of the world had been attached to it. It was extremely extraordinary. With a single glance, Lin Tian recognized this ancient tree as the precious immortal tree. It would only bloom and bear fruit once every 10,000 years. Every single precious immortal fruit contained an extremely shocking amount of divine energy. Refining it could increase one's cultivation base, cleanse one's soul, and temper one's body. The benefits were extremely great. For anyone below the heavenly immortal realm, it was a treasure among treasures. Its value was shocking. He looked at the ultimate immortal treasure tree and saw that there were more than a dozen ultimate immortal treasure fruits on it. Apart from little Tai Chu, who no longer had any use for the fruits, the rest of them would be able to raise their cultivation by at least a small level. It's the precious tree of peerless immortals. Coming back to Taining province to see little Ye, this trip is really worth it. The whooshing crocodile's eyes lit up. Naturally, it recognized the strange tree in front of it. Hurry up and refine it to improve our strength. The white tiger's eyes shone even brighter. It looked like it couldn't wait. Lin Tian nodded. Immediately, the group came to the edge of the precious tree of peerless immortals. The strange fragrance of the tree surrounded them. Little guy, protect us, Lin Tian said to the little Tai Chu. The little guy was now at the immortal king level and didn't need the fruits here. Yeah. The little Tai Chu's big eyes curved as it answered in a childish voice. Lin Tianyi smiled. Together with Bai Ziki and the others, they began to refine the fruits on the tree. They didn't need to pick these fruits now. They could just use the ancient sutra to absorb the energy within the fruits and cultivate. For a moment, different kinds of divine light and demonic light appeared in this place, illuminating the surroundings even brighter. Lin Tian channeled the Heart Sutra of Sun and absorbed the spiritual energy from the fruits on the tree. Golden divine light intertwined around his body, becoming brighter and brighter as time passed. It was as if a golden flame was dancing around him. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. 3 days later, on this day, the golden divine light outside his body became extremely intense. Then, a majestic force rushed out of his body, directly sweeping up tornadoes in this place. In the next moment, he opened his eyes, and there were 2 flashes of light in his eyes. All right. He clenched his fists, and could clearly feel the changes in his body. His cultivation had reached the peak of the Xian Immortal Realm from the mid-stage of the Xian Immortal Realm. His body had become stronger, his soul had become stronger, and the divine energy in his body was endless. He was much stronger than before. Almost at the same time, a few other powerful divine powers surged in this place. Bai Ziki, Ling Yun, the White Tiger, and the others broke through one after another. They all reached the peak of the Mystic Immortal Realm from the mid-stage of the Mystic Immortal Realm. Awesome! Whooshing Crocodile howled habitually. The White Tiger and Ling Yun were also very excited. And Shui Shui's face was full of joy. Bai Ziki was very quiet. Clearly, he was silently comprehending his current strength. There are 2 more ultimate immortal treasure fruits left. I'll use them to consolidate my cultivation. Lin Tian now. Immediately, the group began to circulate their ancient scriptures, absorbing and refining the essence of the 2 ultimate immortal treasure fruits to consolidate their cultivation at the peak of the Xian Immortal Realm. After that, more than 6 hours passed very quickly. After 6 hours, the last 2 ultimate immortal treasure fruits were completely refined, and the group's cultivation was stabilized. Lin Tian now stood up and propped up his small world, sucking in the ultimate immortal treasure tree. Now there were no more fruits on the tree. However, as long as the tree was still there, it would bear more fruits in the future. Although this would take a long time, it was better than nothing. He could put it in the Immortal Court's herb garden in the future. You really don't leave any traces behind, the White Tiger said, clicking his tongue. Lin Tian now gave him a sideways glance. He couldn't be bothered with him, and then led the group out of the Immortal Cave. After all, they'd already reached the end of the Immortal Cave. Apart from the ultimate immortal treasure tree, there was nothing else of value. Thus, after refining all the fruits on the ultimate immortal treasure tree, they naturally didn't have to stay here any longer. The group followed the path they'd taken and quickly walked out of the Immortal Cave. Where are we going now? What are we going to do? The whooshing crocodile asked. Lin Tian now thought for a moment, then said, Nothing in particular. Let's go directly to the Lord Theological Seminary. Bai Ziki and the others didn't have any objections to this. Lin Tian now asked the little Taichu to open the spatial portal to the center of the province. The group stepped in one after another. In the next moment, darkness covered their vision. The group disappeared from the tranquil province, hiding in the void. Then, after an unknown amount of time, traces of light appeared in the darkness. A strong force shook the group out, and they stepped on solid ground again. As far as the eye could see, towering immortal mountains were connected to each other. They were all surrounded by white clouds, and the immortal spiritual energy in the air was so dense that it was almost liquid. It was extremely shocking. Roar! Roar! They were now in the range of a desolate ancient mountain. The demonic energy inside was monstrous, and the shocking roars of beasts and birds could be heard. It was so loud that it hurt their eardrums. This is the Middle Province? It's really extraordinary! Everyone was shocked. Without a doubt, they were now in a new great province, the Middle Province. When they arrived at this great province, they could casually sweep their eyes over it, and discover how extraordinary this great province was. Celestial mountains towered high, the celestial spiritual energy was dense, and every aspect was countless times more shocking than the King province they were familiar with, like the Lao Wang province. The first province of the immortal realm is naturally extraordinary. It's a place of great talents. It can also be called the land of soaring dragons. And Shui Shui said. Bang! Suddenly, an enormous flying beast soared into the sky and pounced towards them. Its wings were over 100 m long, and it emanated monstrous demonic energy. The intermediate stage of the mysterious immortal realm. Everyone was slightly moved. It wasn't that they were afraid of this enormous, flying beast. That was obviously not the case. After all, the weakest in their group was at the peak of the mysterious immortal realm, so it was impossible for them to be afraid of an enormous, flying beast at the intermediate stage of the mysterious immortal realm. The reason they were moved was because a random enormous flying beast that charged out from a mountain in the Middle Province was actually at the intermediate stage of the mysterious immortal realm. This was truly terrifying. The enormous flying beast pounced over while emanating surging demonic energy, and it clawed at them. Everywhere its sharp claws passed, space was directly shattered into pieces. Lin Tian flicked his finger, and a strand of golden light flew out and directly descended onto the enormous flying beast, and it instantly blasted it, flying over 3 kilometers away. He was at the peak of the mysterious immortal realm now, so it was truly extremely easy for him to blast a demon flying beast at the intermediate stage of the mysterious immortal realm. Come, let's go to the Lord Theological Seminary, he called out to them. Let's go! The whooshing crocodile nodded. The Lord Theological Seminary was located at the center of the Middle Province, and they were naturally aware of this. Lin Tian said something to the little Taichu, and the little fellow opened the spatial portal again and led the group to another location. In the next moment, the group disappeared into the mountains of this place, and then they arrived at the center of the Middle Province. When they arrived at the center of the Middle Province, the group didn't stop, and they headed straight towards the Lord Theological Seminary. Not long after, a vast group of divine palaces appeared in front of them. Every divine palace seemed to be made of divine gold, and their auras were majestic and had a towering aura. In front of the group of divine palaces, a huge divine door of pure gold stood tall, and it seemed to have existed since ancient times. There were many divine inscriptions engraved on it, and it seemed like a door that led to the heavens. Right above it, for seal scripts were extremely conspicuous. They were simple and ancient, and they interweaved with an astonishing aura of time. The Lord Theological Seminary. We're here! A glint flashed across Lin Tian's eyes. The Lord Theological Seminary was the most powerful inheritance in the celestial realm and the surrounding great worlds. It was the most terrifying force, and legend had it that it was founded by several large gods. Next, he would cultivate in this place, and after 500 years, he would go to the special ancient road mentioned by the white-haired old man as a disciple of the imperial courtyard, and obtain the sword soul fragments on the road. Geniuses from all over the world have gathered here, and it's the best stage for Lord Crocodile to display and show off myself. The whooshing crocodile looked at the Lord Theological Seminary from afar and said rather domineeringly. Lin Tian glanced at it and didn't say anything. He called out, and the group headed towards the Lord Theological Seminary. Soon, they arrived in front of the main entrance of the Lord Theological Seminary. At this time, there were many cultivators in front of the main entrance of the Lord Theological Seminary. They were young men and young women, and they were all full of energy as they walked into the Lord Theological Seminary in an orderly manner. Every person who walked into the Lord Theological Seminary would show a golden ancient token to a gray-robed old man guarding the main entrance of the Lord Theological Seminary. It was exactly the same as the arch token that Lin Tianyi and the others had obtained from the white-haired old man. This arch token was the qualification to enter the Lord Theological Seminary. Only those who held the arch token could enter the Lord Theological Seminary without any assessment. In fact, it could be said that anyone who held the arch token had already passed the most stringent assessment because it was given by the Lord Theological Seminary when they were personally invited. This proved that those who held the arch token had been affirmed by the Lord Theological Seminary and passed the secret assessment of the Lord Theological Seminary. Isn't this the person who killed Jia Zijing and Mu Zhanyan? He actually came to this place. Yes, it's really that person. Lin Tianyi and the others came to this place and didn't hide anything. Soon, they were seen by the cultivators here, and many of them had a strange look in their eyes. This person was also invited to the Lord Theological Seminary? It seems like it. Many of the cultivators were discussing, and their eyes fell on Lin Tian. Jia Zijing and Mu Zhanyan were both young supreme beings on the ranking of 100 immortals. Both of them were very important. The news that Lin Tian killed them had almost spread throughout the cultivation world of the immortal realm. Naturally, these cultivators already knew about it. He dared to kill Jia Zijing and Mu Zhanyan on the ranking of 100 immortals with a cultivation of the mysterious immortal realm, and he even succeeded. This is a complete fraud. Someone muttered. These young cultivators who could come here and qualify to enter the Lord Theological Seminary were all extraordinary. They could be said to be geniuses of their own domain. However, compared with the young supreme beings on the ranking of 100 immortals, the gap was still relatively large. Therefore, it was difficult for these people not to notice that Lin Tian killed Jia Zijing and Mu Zhanyan on the ranking of 100 immortals with a cultivation of the mysterious immortal realm. Kid, listen to this. Your reputation as a fraud is not just something we say. It's completely what everyone thinks. Whooshing crocodile clicked its tongue. Lin Tian wanted to kick it. He just prepared a lot of unorthodox methods in advance, and defeated those two by luck. His methods are sinister and despicable. How can such a despicable person be worthy of entering the Lord Theological Seminary? Chapter 1696. Along with the discordant voice, a young man in a golden robe came from afar. His eyes were a little sinister, and his face was cold and arrogant. Most importantly, there were two dark purple horns protruding from both sides of his head. There were faint traces of lightning arcs circling around the horns, as if the horns contained terrifying thunder power. This is Qin Jingyan's Dark Thunder Beast. He's here. Then Qin Jingyan is here too? The young supremacy ranked 57th on the ranking of 100 immortals. Qin Jingyan hasn't come yet. I heard that he came to the Imperial Courtyard in advance to help Qin Jingyan settle down. At this place, the cultivators outside the Imperial Courtyard could not help but show a fearful expression when they saw the young man in the golden robe. Firstly, this young man in the golden robe was a battle beast tamed by the 57th young supremacy on the ranking of 100 immortals. Provoking this young man in the golden robe was disrespectful to the 57th young supremacy on the ranking of 100 immortals. Ordinary people would not dare to provoke the 57th young supremacy on the ranking of 100 immortals. Wasn't that courting death? On the other hand, this young man in the golden robe was also very powerful. His true form was a rare dark thunder beast. Many of the experts who had obtained the Emperor's token and were qualified to enter the Lord Theological Seminary were aware that they were no match for this young man in the golden robe. Therefore, due to these two reasons, the cultivators in this place were very wary of the golden-robed young man. Lin Tian stood aside and glanced at the young man in the golden robe. He was too lazy to respond. What? You're not convinced? Seeing Lin Tian's eyes sweeping over him, The young man in the golden robe snorted coldly and said, "You killed those two with insidious means. Am I wrong to say that you're despicable? You're not qualified to enter the Lord Theological Seminary. Damn it! Master Crocodile has a bad temper." Wishing Crocodile was unhappy. He looked at the young man in the golden robe and said, "You dog, are you deliberately looking for trouble? Are you out of your mind, brat?" White Tiger scolded. They were never willing to suffer losses. Now that Lin Tian was being bullied by this golden-robed youth, they were naturally very unhappy. At this time, Lin Tian looked at this person again. His expression was very calm. "Are you looking for trouble? Or was he looking for a cut? Or are you looking for a beating?" Originally, he didn't want to pay any attention to this golden-robed youth. However, the other party had provoked him twice. If he still swallowed this insult, then he wouldn't be Lin Tian. Many cultivators in the surroundings could not help but be moved. The golden-robed young man was the battle beast of Qin Jingyan, who was ranked 57th on the ranking of 100 immortals. Moreover, his combat strength was also very terrifying. But now, Wishing Crocodile and White Tiger actually said such words, calling the golden-robed young man a dog and a brat. Although Lin Tian's words sounded very calm, in fact, he was the most aggressive. He asked the golden-robed young man 3 times in a row whether he was looking for a beating. In other words, he actually wanted to beat the golden-robed young man up. The golden-robed young man's expression darkened. He looked at Lin Tian, Wishing Crocodile, and White Tiger sinisterly. "How dare you talk to me like this? Who do you think you are? How can we talk to you?" Lin Tian Andao. "My master is Qin Jingyan," the golden-robed young man said coldly and arrogantly. "You're just a servant in front of others. How dare you show off like this? How shameless can you be?" Lin Tian was very calm. Many cultivators in the surroundings trembled. Lin Tian's words were really sharp. The golden-robed young man's expression became even more gloomy, and a cold light burst out from his eyes. "You've successfully angered me." As he said this, the golden-robed young man directly attacked. He slapped Lin Tian. "Perhaps you were invited to enter the Lord Theological Seminary. However, it doesn't matter. You haven't entered the Imperial Courtyard yet, so you don't have to. You can just die here." The Lord Theological Seminary had very clear rules. In the Lord Theological Seminary, the Imperial Courtyard disciples were not allowed to kill each other, and they were not allowed to enter the Lord Theological Seminary to cause trouble for the Imperial Courtyard disciples. However, if it was outside the Lord Theological Seminary, then no matter what happened to the Lord Theological Seminary's disciples, the Lord Theological Seminary would not interfere. And this was indeed the case. At this moment, in front of the main entrance of the Lord Theological Seminary, the gray-robed old man of the Lord Theological Seminary only glanced over. Although he saw the golden-robed young man trying to kill Lin Tian, he did not do anything. Boom! The void vibrated. The golden-robed young man's big hand pressed down, distorting the space. The fluctuation of the half-step heaven immortal level directly intertwined, which was extremely terrifying. So powerful! In this place, some practitioners were frightened by this aura. At the same time, they were also shocked by the terrifying power of Qin Jingyan, who was on the ranking of 100 immortals. This was because the golden-robed young man's strength had surpassed many of them. However, such a powerful golden-robed young man was only one of Qin Jingyan's battle beasts. They could not compare with him at all. That person seems to have not reached the half-step heaven immortal level. Now that he has come here, it's impossible for him to have made any special preparations. I'm afraid this time, it's over. It's probably over. Many people shook their heads. However, in the next moment, these people's expressions changed again. Facing the golden-robed young man's big hand, Lin Tian also casually slapped it. With a puff sound, the golden-robed young man's big hand was shattered, and blood spilled in the void. What? He shattered the half-step heaven immortal dark lightning beast's arm with just one slap. That dark lightning beast physique is not much weaker than a heaven immortal's. He actually These practitioners' eyes fell on Lin Tian. They could not help but be shocked by Lin Tian's slap. The golden-robed young man's expression also changed. Although he did not use his full strength just now, he had used 90% of his physical strength. An ordinary half-step heaven immortal would not be able to block his attack, but Lin Tian had blocked it, and shattered his arm instead. He stared at Lin Tian, and his shattered arm instantly regenerated. His eyes became even more sinister. I underestimated Noisy. Lin Tian interrupted him. This time, he took the initiative and formed a divine light palm print to press down on the golden-robed young man. Suddenly, with a rumbling sound, the divine light palm print covered the sky and the sun. It covered the golden-robed young man under it and forcefully suppressed him. The golden-robed young man trembled violently. He suddenly felt threatened. With a roar, he summoned a powerful demonic power to meet the palm print. Chi! With a soft sound, the demonic power he summoned was directly crushed. Lin Tian's divine light palm print disappeared and continued to press down. The majestic divine power sealed the surrounding space. Damn it! The golden-robed young man felt an even greater pressure. He roared again. The two horns on his head glowed, and so did his body. Then, in the next moment, he transformed from his human form into a giant beast that was dozens of feet tall. His body was surrounded by dark lightning, and the surrounding void was vibrating with the majestic power of thunder. He has revealed his true form. The dark lightning beast of the primordial era. His body contains the power of dark lightning. When he reveals his true form, the power of dark lightning in his body will be completely activated and become extremely terrifying. It is enough to make him an emperor below the heaven immortal realm. At this place, when the crowd of cultivators saw the golden-robed young man reveal his true form and felt the black lightning surrounding his body, they could not help but feel their hearts palpitate. They could feel the terror of the black lightning. The golden-robed young man revealed his true form. His body was dozens of feet tall, and dark lightning surrounded his body. He looked at Lin Tian viciously. Human, I will... Shut up! Lin Tian said indifferently. The divine light palm print did not slow down at all. In an instant, it crushed all the dark lightning around the golden-robed young man's body. You! Ah! The golden-robed young man's true form, the dark lightning beast, trembled violently. His beast eyes were filled with shock. Then, under the continuous pressure of Lin Tian's divine light palm print, cracks appeared on his sturdy beast body. He could not help but let out a scream. At the same time, he struggled violently, trying to break free from Lin Tian's divine light palm print. Lin Tian's expression was calm. The divine light palm print continued to press down. He did not care about the golden-robed young man's scream and struggle. He tilted his head and looked at Shui. Do you still have the flame stone that can release powerful flames? Take it out. We will roast it. Chapter 1697. And Shui's eyes lit up when she heard Lin Tian's words. She loved Lin Tian's barbecued game very much. Yes. We have enough. She waved her hand and took out a large pile of flame stones. Each of the flame stones was glowing red. Not bad. Go and make a fire. I'll be right there. Lin Tian nodded. No problem. And Shui patted her chest. She knew that Lin Tian was going to kill the dark lightning beast and drag it over. She found an empty space nearby and fiddled with a pile of flame stones. In an instant, a scorching flame rushed out. She looked at Lin Tian now and said, It's done! Lin Tian nodded with a smile. He turned his head and looked at the dark lightning beast that was being suppressed by the divine light hand seal. And Shui looked at the rising flames and heard him say that he was going to barbecue game. The dark lightning beast trembled and roared. Human, don't do anything rash! My master is Qin Jingyan, the 57th supreme being on the ranking of 100 immortals. If you hurt me, my master will not let you go. Is that so? I'm so scared. Lin Tian now. As he spoke, a divine transformation talisman came out of the divine light hand seal and rushed into the dark lightning beast's body. The divine transformation talisman had the power to transform one's soul. He used it with his current peach Xian immortal cultivation. When it entered the dark lightning beast's body, it rushed into its divine sense and destroyed its demonic soul in the blink of an eye. All of a sudden, the dark lightning beast fell completely still, and all of the signs of life in its eyes vanished, leaving only its carcass behind. It's dead. In this place, all the cultivators were shocked. The dark lightning beast in its true form was extremely terrifying. Under the heavenly immortal realm, it could be called an emperor. But now, it was killed by Lin Tian so easily. This made these people shocked by this kind of combat strength. They looked at the lifeless dark lightning beast, and then at Lin Tian. Many of them couldn't help but shudder. The dark lightning beast was a war beast that belonged to Qin Jingyan. And that Qin Jingyan wasn't someone that Jia Zijing and Mu Zhanyan could compare to. And now, Lin Tian actually dared to kill the war beast of that person without hesitation. Lin Tian naturally saw the looks in their eyes and understood them, but he didn't care at all. Stupid crocodile, stupid tiger, come and help me. He dragged the dark lightning beast's body to Shui's side and called out to the wishing crocodile and white tiger. Together, they began to pluck the dark lightning beast's fur, skin, and organs. Then, they quickly propped the dark lightning beast's body against the flames. The temperature of the flames rising from the flame rock was astonishing. As it burned the dark lightning beast's body, sizzling sounds were quickly heard as drops of yellowish beast oil dripped down. The surrounding cultivators immediately trembled. Is he really going to roast it? Everyone was dumbfounded. Although they had heard Lin Tian say that he was going to roast the dark lightning beast, they didn't expect that he would really do it. He actually killed the dark lightning beast and roasted it on the flames outside the Lord Theological Seminary. What a masterpiece! That's too cruel! This is 1,000 times more cruel than simply killing the dark lightning beast. Everyone's eyes widened as they stared at Lin Tian in shock. Lin Tian was simply too brazen and reckless. After killing the dark lightning beast, he turned it into roasted meat in front of everyone's eyes. He had completely offended that Qin Jingyan. After all, his battle beast was killed and roasted in front of so many people. It could be said that he had lost a lot of face. Therefore, after knowing this, Qin Jingyan couldn't remain silent no matter what. He would definitely make a move to kill Lin Tian. Even the gray-robed old man of the Lord Theological Seminary in front of the Imperial Courtyard's main gate, who had been expressionless all this time, couldn't help but show a hint of surprise when he saw this scene. All kinds of fights and killings outside the Lord Theological Seminary were common. However, to kill the battle beast of a young Supreme Master who was about to enter the Lord Theological Seminary and roast it on the flames outside the Lord Theological Seminary, this was the first time they had seen it. Since ancient times, no one had done such a thing. In the distance, the dark lightning beast's body was being roasted on the flames rising from the flame rock. Yellowish beast oil kept dripping on the flame rock, making sizzling sounds. Soon, a crisp fragrance floated up. Done! Lin Tian now. Let's eat! And Shui's eyes lit up. Little Taichu's eyes were also shining. It cried out in a childish voice. Like in Shui, it liked roasted game very much. Immediately, the 4 people and 3 beasts each took a large piece of the dark lightning beast's roasted meat and ate it in front of everyone. It's worthy of being a dark lightning beast at the half-step celestial immortal level. The meat is really good. It's chewy. It's delicious. Wishing Crocodile commented. Brother Crocodile is right. White Tiger agreed. Squeak! Little Taichu chewed on the dark lightning beast's roasted meat. Its big eyes were curved, and it looked very happy. Around them, everyone's eyes were wide open. They were really shocked by this scene. Killing Qin Jingyan's battle beast in front of everyone and making roasted game, and then tasting it in front of everyone. This was simply too crazy. Lin Tian naturally saw that everyone was looking at them. After swallowing a piece of the dark lightning beast's roasted meat, he looked at the cultivators and invited, "Everyone, do you want to try it together? The texture of the meat is really very good." When the cultivators heard this, they immediately felt a chill on their scalps. "No. No need. Thank you for your kindness. That's right, we appreciate it. We appreciate it." Hearing Lin Tian invite them to taste the roasted meat of the dark lightning beast, the cultivators couldn't help but shudder. What a joke! The dark lightning beast was Qin Jingyan's battle beast. Lin Tian killed the dark lightning beast and made it into game, and then asked them to taste it together. How would they dare to go? This was simply pulling them into a fire pit. Because if they really went to taste it, they would be provoking that Qin Jingyan. Provoking that person, wasn't that courting death? It's okay, there's still a lot of meat, no need to be polite. Lin Tian smiled and continued to invite them. There's really no need. We're not hungry. Not hungry. Yes. We're not hungry. Not hungry at all. The cultivators shook their heads like a rattle drum, and quickly distanced themselves from Lin Tian, afraid that others would mistakenly think that they had some special relationship with Lin Tian. Is that so? That's a pity, the meat is really good. Lin Tian smiled and tore off a piece of the dark lightning beast's roasted meat and put it into his mouth to chew. All the cultivators. In front of the Lord Theological Seminary, more and more cultivators came. Of course, not all of them came with the Emperor's token to join the imperial courtyard. Some of them gathered around this place to watch the fun. After all, the Lord Theological Seminary was the most powerful inheritance in the celestial realm and the surrounding large worlds. When a new disciple was invited to enter the academy, it would always attract a lot of people to watch. Then, when they saw Lin Tian and the others, many people were shocked again because many people knew that Lin Tian had killed Jia Zijing and Mu Zhanyan on the ranking of 100 immortals. At this time, when they saw Lin Tian in person, it was naturally difficult for them not to be shocked. Then, when they saw that Lin Tian and the others were roasting red meat in the wild in front of the Lord Theological Seminary and learned that Lin Tian was roasting the dark lightning beast by Qin Jingyan's side, the cultivators who came later were even more shocked. This is simply too audacious. Someone shrank back. Lin Tian squatted on the side and didn't care about the gazes of these cultivators. He minded his own business and tasted the roasted meat of the dark lightning beast with Bai Ziki and the others. Soon, the whole dark lightning beast was finished by them. More than 2 hours had passed. The cultivators with the Emperor's token entered the Lord Theological Seminary in an orderly manner with the Emperor's token. They also came to the entrance of the imperial courtyard, took out their Emperor's token, and handed it to the gray-robed old man guarding the entrance. This was the qualification certificate to enter the academy. The gray-robed old man glanced at it and nodded slightly. Then, his eyes fell on Lin Tian. "Young man, you're interesting." This caused all the cultivators here to be moved. If they remembered correctly, this was the first sentence that the gray-robed old man had spoken after standing here today. Lin Tian didn't know if this was the first sentence that the gray-robed old man said today, but he knew that the gray-robed old man was referring to him roasting Qin Jingyan's battle beast in front of the imperial courtyard. He immediately felt a little embarrassed. This is embarrassing. The gray-robed old man didn't say anything else. He just waved his hand at Lin Tian, indicating that Lin Tian could enter the imperial courtyard. "This junior will take his leave." Lin Tian bowed slightly. This old man looked a little old, but he was definitely a terrifying existence. He naturally wouldn't disrespect him. After all, this was a member of the Lord Theological Seminary, and there were no weaklings in the Lord Theological Seminary. Soon, he left with Bai Ziki and the others, directly entering the imperial courtyard. As soon as they entered the imperial courtyard, the group was immediately moved. The immortal spiritual energy in the imperial courtyard was frighteningly dense. There were many immortal herbs and divine trees lying around, and pavilions and divine palaces standing in great numbers. They were all intertwined with an ancient aura, and it was difficult to say how long they had existed for. However, this was only on the surface. Lin Tian had cultivated the dragon burial scripture, so when he came here at this time, he immediately discovered that there was a heaven-shaking, earth-shattering divine situation intertwined here, as if it could engulf and destroy everything. "What's wrong, kid? Did you see something special?" Beside him, the whooshing crocodile saw his strange expression and knew that he cultivated the dragon burial scripture, so he couldn't help but ask. Lin Tian's eyes intertwined with the light of dragons. He said, "There's an unimaginably vast situation supporting this place, and it's filled with auspicious signs from all directions. It can be said that this place is an absolute land of accumulation. Are there any good things underground?" The white tiger's eyes lit up. "Yes, it's enough to shock the entire celestial realm." Lin Tian nodded. Seeing the white tiger's eyes become even brighter, as if it was about to make a move, he immediately glanced at it. "Don't think about that thing. This is the Lord Theological Seminary. If you mess around here, do you want to be torn down? P.S. About that, I'd like to apologize to my brothers and sisters first. There's only one chapter for today and tomorrow. That's because the National Day and Mid-Autumn Festival are coming, and I also want to celebrate with my family. Moreover, I've been writing at home recently, and my parents aren't very happy, so I have to take some time to accompany my family this National Day. I hope everyone can forgive me." Chapter 1698. There was indeed something extraordinary under the Lord Theological Seminary. Lin Tian used the dragon burial scripture to investigate it. Although he couldn't figure out what it was, the aura it emitted was extremely terrifying. It contained vast divine energy and dragon energy, enough to shake the entire celestial realm. "Don't mess around." He reminded the white tiger again that this was not an ordinary place. The white tiger rolled its eyes. "How did you know that I was thinking about that thing? Why is it so obvious?" Lin Tian glanced at it, and no longer bothered with it. Then, he called out to the group and headed deeper into the Lord Theological Seminary. The Lord Theological Seminary was very vast. There were countless halls and pavilions, all of which carried the aura of time. Walking in it, it even gave people the feeling that they were walking in the long river of time. Lin Tian and the others walked in the imperial courtyard and quickly settled down. At the same time, they also found out some information about the special ancient path that the white-haired old man mentioned before. "A trial ground, a path to sainthood," Lin Tian muttered to himself. According to what they found out, the special ancient path was controlled by the Lord Theological Seminary. It would open every once in a while, and only the disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary were qualified to enter the ancient path. It was filled with endless divine fate and countless immortal treasures and divine items. At the same time, more importantly, that path seemed to lead to a space in the celestial realm. Of course, the latter was only a rumor, because since ancient times, no one had entered the so-called celestial realm through that path. "Let's not talk about the endless divine fate. Do you think that path really leads to the celestial realm? It sounds like the celestial realm is a very extraordinary place. It seems to be even more amazing than the celestial realm," Wishing Crocodile said. "It's a coincidence. Although I can't be sure, I feel that there's a 90% chance that it's true." Lin Tian pondered for a moment before he said, "Now that I think about it, perhaps the Emperor God Academy's ultimate goal of gathering geniuses from all over the imperial courtyard and allowing these people to enter the ancient path was to rely on these geniuses to open up the door to the Saint region. That's not right." Ling Yun was a little puzzled and said, "That's completely unnecessary. With the strength of the high-level experts of the Lord Theological Seminary, they definitely surpass the disciples who are admitted into the imperial courtyard every time. Even the young supreme expert who ranks first on the ranking of 100 immortals definitely can't compare with the strongest expert of the Lord Theological Seminary, right? Even the experts of the Lord Theological Seminary weren't able to open the door to the sacred region from that ancient path, so the disciples of the imperial courtyard have even less of a chance to do so. There should be some kind of restriction that has nothing to do with pure strength or cultivation," Baiziki said. Hearing his words, Ling Yun was immediately moved. White Tiger and the others were also moved. White Pig is right. If the sacred region really exists, there might be some kind of restriction in opening the door to the sacred region. And this restriction makes the leaders of the Lord Theological Seminary helpless. Therefore, they need to recruit cultivators from the celestial region and the surrounding large worlds to enter the imperial courtyard, and use their strength to open the door to the sacred region. Lin Tianao said, "Of course, although opening the door to the sacred region might have nothing to do with pure strength or cultivation, those who can open the door to the sacred region are definitely not ordinary people. In terms of aptitude, they are definitely extraordinary. Therefore, the imperial courtyard's requirements to recruit disciples are naturally very high." Hearing his words, Ling Yun and the others were moved again. In that case, that ancient path can really lead to the sacred region? Is there really a sacred region? White Tiger was astonished. The sacred region. Just the mention of these two words was very difficult. The possibility is very high, but we can't be sure. After all, no one has really seen the sacred region. Lin Tianao. The group nodded. There was really no way to say for sure whether such a thing existed or not. Let's not think about this anymore. Since we're already at the Lord Theological Seminary, what should we do next? And Shui Shui asked. Let's walk through every corner of the Lord Theological Seminary first. After all, we'll be staying here for a long time in the future. Lin Tianao. Then, the group temporarily left their residence and walked to every corner of the Lord Theological Seminary. The Lord Theological Seminary was shockingly vast, and the immortal spiritual energy was also very rich. The group walked through the Lord Theological Seminary. Along the way, there were many disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary walking. When they saw the group, their eyes immediately fell on Lin Tian, and they couldn't help but point at him. This was really a series of shocking things that Lin Tian had done. First, he killed Jia Zijing and Mu Zhanyan, who were on the ranking of 100 immortals. Then, on the first day of his arrival at the Lord Theological Seminary, he beheaded Qin Jingyan's battle beast in public and roasted it. It was really hard not to be moved. His courage was shocking. Boy, you just arrived and you've already become a celebrity. Whooshing Crocodile clicked its tongue. Lin Tian glanced at it and ignored it. They walked through the imperial courtyard. Because the imperial courtyard was vast enough and they were walking on foot, even with their cultivation at the peak of the Xian immortal realm, it took them a full 2 months to barely walk through the entire Emperor God Academy. Of course, the complete, here was only the places that ordinary disciples of the imperial courtyard could go. They naturally couldn't go to some special places. Generally, only the higher-ups of the imperial courtyard could set foot in those special places. After 2 months, almost all the young geniuses who were invited and had the Emperor's token had arrived at the imperial courtyard. Only some super experts on the ranking of 100 immortals had not arrived. Outside the Lord Theological Seminary, the gray-robed old man who was guarding the gate was no longer there. Now only a few dozen people on the ranking of 100 immortals had not arrived. Those people could directly enter the imperial courtyard when the time came, and there was no need to check the existence of the Emperor's token. Lin Tian, get out here and fight! On this day, 2 months later, an arrogant voice sounded outside the Lord Theological Seminary. It sounded very arrogant. You think you can enter the Lord Theological Seminary just because you used despicable means to kill 2 young supreme experts on the ranking of 100 immortals? What a joke! Get out here and fight. If you lose, hand over the Emperor's token. I'm far more qualified to enter the Lord Theological Seminary than you are. This was a young man at the early stage of the Xian immortal realm. At this moment, he was standing outside the Lord Theological Seminary and shouting toward the Lord Theological Seminary. This attracted the attention of everyone. Lin Tian and the others naturally knew about this immediately, and heard the man's clamor outside the imperial courtyard. This son of A*TCH, he's only at the early stage of the Xian immortal realm. How dare he be so arrogant? Is he crazy to want to enter the Lord Theological Seminary? Whooshing Crocodile gritted its teeth. You're courting death. The white tiger was very displeased. They were not surprised that the person who shouted knew Lin Tian's name. This was because when Lin Tian showed the emperor's token to the gray-robed old man of the Lord Theological Seminary, he had mentioned his name. Many people heard it, and naturally the news spread. A faint light flashed in Lin Tian's eyes, and he said, "Don't worry about him." He stayed in the residence of the Lord Theological Seminary, and discussed with a group of people where they should go to gain experience next. Now, they had entered the Lord Theological Seminary, and were disciples of the imperial courtyard. However, the Lord Theological Seminary itself did not provide any cultivation resources. Those who broke their heads to enter the Lord Theological Seminary did not come for the rich cultivation resources of the Lord Theological Seminary. There were only two real purposes for coming here. One was to be with the geniuses and use the pressure to improve and become stronger. The second was to enter that special ancient road and find a great divine fate on that special ancient road. Of course, the most important thing was that they wanted to enter the legendary Holy Land through that special ancient road. The Central Plains is full of outstanding people and countless immortal mountains. You can go to these immortal mountains and fight with the fierce beasts there to train yourself. Moreover, many immortal mountains also have amazing heavenly materials and earthly treasures that can be directly used to improve your cultivation. And Shui Shui said, "The 8 Desolation ancient mountain range closest to the Lord Theological Seminary is very vast. Throughout history, many disciples of the imperial courtyard have gone there to gain experience." Lin Tian thought for a moment and said, "Then let's go to the 8 Desolation ancient mountain range to gain experience in a few days and reach the celestial immortal realm as soon as possible." Bai Ziki and the others nodded and had no objections. In the blink of an eye, another day passed. "Lin Tian, come out and fight me. Are you too cowardly to fight me? I'll fight you with only one hand. Come out." On this day, it was the young man who shouted outside the Lord Theological Seminary again. His words were even more arrogant than yesterday. Lin Tian still didn't pay any attention to this. Together with Bai Ziki and the others, he made preparations to head to the 8 Desolate mountain range to train. After that, as time went by, outside the Lord Theological Seminary, other than the young man who was at the early stage of Xian Immortal, gradually other people challenged Lin Tian to a fight. "What else can you do besides using despicable means to cheat people? You're useless. If you dare to come out, I'll fight you with both hands. Do you dare?" He doesn't dare to come out and fight because he knows that he'll definitely lose if he does. He can't afford to lose face, so he can only hide in the Lord Theological Seminary. "I'll fight you with only one hand and won't use any magic or secret technique. Lin Tian, do you dare to come out and fight me?" These people were all arrogant and looked down on Lin Tian as if he was nothing. Most importantly, many of them were only at the true immortal realm, which made the other disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary shake their heads. Even though these students of the Imperial Academy knew that Lin Tian had prepared a special method to kill Jia Zijing and Wu Zhanyan, and he wasn't a match for the two of them by relying on his own combat strength, but no matter what, Lin Tian's cultivation was at the mysterious immortal realm. Now, some true immortals actually dared to speak arrogantly like this, and it was truly incomprehensible. At the same time, more imperial courtyard disciples vaguely thought of something. Looking at the group of people who were arrogantly shouting outside the Lord Theological Seminary, a faint light couldn't help but flash in their eyes. A group of dogs who are trying to please the crowd. Master Hu is going to slap them to death. The white tiger gnashed his teeth. "What are you angry about? Those people are doing it on purpose. They're just following someone's orders." Lin Tian himself seemed very calm. What do you mean?" The white tiger was slightly puzzled. Chapter 1699. Those people clamoring outside the Lord Theological Seminary were too abnormal. How could Lin Tian not see through the clues? He knew that someone had asked those people to deliberately humiliate him outside the Lord Theological Seminary to provoke him to come out, and then kill him outside the Lord Theological Seminary. After all, in the Lord Theological Seminary, some people who wanted to kill him were powerless. Hearing his words, the white tiger was slightly stunned. Then, it instantly understood. Now that you mention it, it does seem to be the case. Then it added, however, even so, we can't really let those people clamor, right? It did not ask who was the one who was scheming in the dark, because since it already knew that someone was setting a trap behind the scenes to provoke Lin Tian to go out and kill Lin Tian, it would naturally be very easy to guess the background of the mastermind. It was either the Jia clan, the He clan, or the Mu clan. Of course not. Lin Tian now. Previously, he was just preparing to go to the 8 Desolation Ancient Range with a group of people and couldn't be bothered with those people. But now, they had made the necessary preparations. So, naturally, they had to respond to those people clamoring. As for the mastermind behind these clamoring people, he naturally guessed that it was from the Jia clan, the He clan, or the Mu clan. The strongest person in these 3 clans was only at the peak of the Immortal King realm. Although he couldn't stop them with his own battle strength, he had little Taichu by his side. He could kill anyone below the True God realm. He didn't fear those 3 clans at all. Immediately, he called the White Tiger, Bai Ziki, and the others to walk out of the residence and out of the Lord Theological Seminary. Timid Lin, do you really plan to hide in the Lord Theological Seminary for the rest of your life? Do you still have any dignity? I lowered my cultivation to the Eternal Realm to fight with you, and you still don't dare? Coward! I lowered my cultivation to the Immortal Realm and then fought with you with both hands? Do you dare to come out and fight? I've never seen such a cowardly person. I reckon that even if a body refinement cultivator were to challenge him, he wouldn't dare to accept the challenge. Outside the Lord Theological Seminary, there were already more than 20 cultivators clamoring. All of them had mocking expressions on their faces and were extremely arrogant. This made the disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary narrow their eyes slightly, because by now, practically everyone had seen through the clues behind this, and guessed that these people had been instructed by someone to deliberately create a ruckus here to lure Lin Tian out of the Imperial Courtyard. Someone wanted to lure that person out of the Lord Theological Seminary, and kill him outside the Lord Theological Seminary. It's already very obvious. But even so, these people who are making a ruckus are really arrogant, and it's easy to anger them. I wonder if that Lin Tian will rush out in anger. That Lin Tian is not an idiot. Obviously, he can see that there's something strange about this. He knows that there's a real powerhouse hiding in the dark waiting for him to come out, and then kill him outside the Lord Theological Seminary. So, how could he be so stupid as to rush out? That's true. Some disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary were talking among themselves. Lin Tian is here. At this moment, an exclamation rang out. As this exclamation rang out, the disciples of the Imperial Courtyard, who were still discussing just now, immediately turned their heads and looked over. Then, they saw Lin Tian and Bai Ziki's group walking straight out of the Lord Theological Seminary. This made the disciples of the Imperial Courtyard involuntarily change their expressions, and they all looked at Lin Tian with a surprised expression. Is he going to go out? It looks like he's really going to go out. Is he stupid? Could it be that he didn't guess that someone is deliberately provoking him to go out? No matter how I think about it, it's impossible. Has he lost his mind because of anger? Those people with him are following him, and they want to go out with him. Can't they see any clues? When they saw Lin Tian, Bai Ziki, and the others walking straight out of the Lord Theological Seminary, all the disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary were shocked by this scene. When Lin Tian saw the strange gazes of these people, he could understand their doubts. However, he did not care at all and quickly stepped out of the Lord Theological Seminary. He's out. Outside the Emperor God Academy, there were more than 20 people who were hooting. They were led by a Xian immortal youth. When they saw Lin Tian walk out of the Emperor God Academy, joy and fear flashed across their eyes. Then, they retreated as fast as they could. The other disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary couldn't help but shake their heads when they saw this scene. Such a scene clearly proved that these people were incited by someone, and it was merely for the sake of luring Lin Tian out of the Lord Theological Seminary. It was a scheme. Bang! 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 At practically the exact same moment, 3 formidable divine energies surged, and then 3 old men appeared out of thin air. Their majestic divine energies instantly sealed off the surrounding space and trapped Lin Tian's group within it. Coldness and killing intent interweaved. 3 immortal kings. Moreover, they are peak immortal kings. The disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary couldn't help but be moved. Although they had guessed that those people were clamoring to lure Lin Tian out of the Lord Theological Seminary, and guessed that there were experts hiding in this place secretly preparing to kill Lin Tian, they didn't expect that the experts hiding in this place were actually 3 peak immortal kings. Peak immortal kings, experts of this level, were extremely terrifying. Seniors, we've already lured him out. Seniors, don't forget about the treasure you promised us. In the distance, the green-clothed young man who led the group said excitedly. There will be benefits for you. The man in the middle of the 3 old men said coldly. He was dressed in a golden robe, and his eyes were filled with oppressive coldness and terrifying killing intent. This was the strongest patriarch of this generation of the Jia family, who was at the peak of the immortal king realm. When he heard that the strongest genius of the Jia family, Jia Zijing, had been killed by Lin Tian, he immediately came out of seclusion. His killing intent towards Lin Tian was very strong, and his gaze was so cold that it could freeze one's soul. Of the other 2 old men beside him, one of them was the strongest patriarch of the Mu family. He was the saint son of his lineage, Mu Zhanyan, who had been killed by Lin Tian. Just like the patriarch of the Jia family, the killing intent in his eyes was extremely terrifying. As for the other old man, his gaze fell on Baiziki. He wanted to snatch the ancient god diagram from Baiziki. Lin Tian looked at the 3 of them and felt that the surrounding void had been completely sealed. He could feel the coldness and killing intent from the 3 of them, but he didn't care at all. He smiled faintly and said, Jia family, He family, Mu family, your 3 clans are still. As he spoke, he suddenly stopped talking and tilted his head to look in another direction. Almost at the moment when he tilted his head, a strong immortal pressure appeared in that direction. A black-robed young man walked over. His face was as sharp as a knife, and his immortal king aura was very strong. He was obviously at the early stage of the immortal king realm. Qin Jingyan. The young supremacy ranked 57th on the ranking of 100 immortals. He came to the imperial courtyard? He has his eyes on that Lin Tian. Seeing this black-robed young man, the people inside and outside the Lord Theological Seminary were shocked again. The young supremacy ranked 57th on the ranking of 100 immortals was much more important than the 3 ordinary peak immortal kings. Not only these people, but even the patriarchs of the Jia family, He family, and Mu family could not help but look at Qin Jingyan at this time. Their expressions changed slightly. This person is a little scary. His cultivation is at the early stage of the immortal king realm, but his combat strength is definitely much stronger than ordinary peak immortal kings. Whooshing Crocodile and White Tiger were shocked. Ling Yun and Shui were also shocked. Baiziki's eyes were shining brightly. Obviously, they all felt the power of Qin Jingyan. Lin Tian could also feel the terror of the other party. His essence, qi, and spirit were too strong. Probably no one below the true god realm could resist him. Lin Tian. Qin Jingyan walked over from afar. His eyes fell on Lin Tian. There was no threatening coldness, only a sense of indifference. It's me. Facing this person, Lin Tian felt a huge pressure, but the expression on his face did not change at all. Qin Jingyan did not say anything. His expression was still cold. Then, he directly raised his hand and pressed down on Lin Tian. With a rumble, the void was directly annihilated. The immortal king divine energy intertwined, and the killing intent was not concealed at all. He directly attacked. Is he going to kill that person? Of course, he killed Qin Jingyan's battle beast in front of everyone, roasted it, and ate it. Qin Jingyan's reputation has been greatly damaged. Of course, he has to kill him. Some imperial courtyard disciples said. When the old ancestor of the Jia clan and the other two saw Qin Jingyan making his move against Lin Tian, they also made their moves. The old ancestor of the Jia clan and the old ancestor of the Mu clan raised their hands and attacked Lin Tian. The old ancestor of the He clan also attacked Lin Tian together. After killing Lin Tian, he would then suppress Bai Ziki and snatch the ancient divine drawing. In an instant, the four immortal kings attacked. Terrifying divine energy surged, sealing off the surroundings and suppressing all directions. It was extremely shocking. It's over, it's over. He's dead meat. Not only will he die, but his companions will also be annihilated. Not necessarily. Among them, there seems to be the beloved daughter of the An clan of the Laowan province. She should be fine. After all, the An clan is very powerful. If there is no particularly great hatred, no matter if it is Qin Jingyan, the Jia clan, the He clan, or the Mu clan, they should not kill her. This seems to be the case. In any case, that Lin Tian is definitely dead. Facing such a situation, it is impossible for him to survive. Alas, he just entered the Lord Theological Seminary, and he can only blame himself for being stupid. It was obviously easy to guess that there was something wrong. As long as he did not leave the imperial courtyard, he would definitely be fine. Even Qin Jingyan could not do anything to him in the Lord Theological Seminary. However, he insisted on leaving the Lord Theological Seminary. He was simply courting death. Yes. Many cultivators shook their heads and said. However, Lin Tian's expression was still very calm. All of you want to kill me. Unfortunately, the ones who will be bloody unlucky in the end will only be you. He glanced at Qin Jingyan, the elders of the Jia clan, the He clan, and the Mu clan, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Little guys, kill them all. Chapter 1700. The six-colored divine light was as deep as the sea. It swept across the whole heaven and earth, shattering the firmament and shaking the whole area. Puff! 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 The patriarchs of the Jia family, the He family, and the Mu family, who were reaching for Lin Tian, were instantly shattered and sent flying. On the other side, Qin Jingyan's condition was much better. Although he was also pushed back a few steps, the arm that he used to attack Lin Tian did not shatter. Instead, dense cracks appeared all over his arm like a spider web. This? That is, no way? Near the imperial courtyard, all the cultivators were shocked. 3 senior experts at the peak of the immortal king realm and a supreme martial artist on the ranking of 100 immortals, who was even more powerful than the previous 3, were all injured at the same time. That snow-white little beast beside him is actually so terrifying? This. All the cultivators' gazes fell on the little Taichu. They were completely stunned, and many of them could not help but tremble. At this moment, as far as the eye could see, the little Taichu's body was not big at all. It looked very small, but the 6-colored divine light that surrounded its body was frighteningly vast. It was full of sacred and majestic aura, as if it could wipe out everything in the world. The patriarchs of the Jia family, the He family, and the Mu family stabilized themselves and repaired their arms. They all looked at the little Taichu. I see. You killed the celestial king from my family who went out previously? You also killed the celestial king from my family? The patriarchs of the Jia family and the He family looked terrible. They stared at the little Taichu without blinking, and their killing intent was overwhelming. Earlier, when Jia Zijing headed to the He clan for the betrothal, he was killed by Lin Tian midway. The Jia clan was enraged and instantly sent out an immortal king. As for the He clan, it was naturally impossible for them to ignore this. For the sake of obtaining the diagram of the ancient god in Baiziki's possession, they also sent out an immortal king. However, not long after that, the immortal kings from both clans all died. At that time, the 2 great clans were both shocked and enraged. Even though they believed that this matter had something to do with Lin Tian, They truly couldn't understand how Lin Tian could kill an immortal king at the Xian immortal realm. But now, the strongest ancestors of the two races finally understood. So it turned out that there was actually such a terrifying little beast by Lin Tian's side. Earlier, the two immortal kings of their two races who rushed out to kill Lin Tian were clearly killed by this little beast. On the other side, the injury on Qin Jingyan's arm instantly healed. His gaze also fell on the little Taichu, and his eyes were slightly cold. He was ranked 57th on the ranking of 100 immortals. Although his cultivation was only at the early stage of the immortal king realm, his battle prowess was slightly stronger than the patriarchs of the Jia clan, He clan, and Mu clan. At this time, he truly felt that the little Taichu was extraordinary. "Little guy, kill them together. Don't bother with their nonsense," Lin Tian said. "Yeah," the little fellow responded in a childish voice. With a flap of its wings, 6 divine rays of light instantly filled the sky, enveloping the Jia clan's ancestor, the He clan's ancestor, the Mu clan's ancestor, and Qin Jingyan within. For a moment, a sacred and majestic aura surged, almost dyeing the sky of this place into 6 colors. The expressions of the patriarchs of the Jia clan, He clan, and Mu clan all changed. The 6-colored divine light was too terrifying. It gave them a sense of pressure and threat at the first moment, and they all attacked at the same time. On the other side, Qin Jingyan was also slightly moved. He also felt the terror of the 6-colored divine light. He directly propped up a divine shield behind him and faced the 6-colored divine light of the little Taichu. Boom! The 4 of them attacked one after another, colliding with the 6-colored divine light of the little Taichu, causing the void to collapse one after another. "Yeah!" the little Taichu called out in a childish voice again. The wings on its back flapped slightly again. Then, a large expanse of 6-colored divine flames suddenly surged out. It was like a sea of 6-colored divine flames, drowning the patriarch of the Jia clan. "Ah!" A miserable scream rang out immediately. The 6-colored divine flames were terrifying. The patriarch of the Jia clan's immortal king realm body was instantly ignited. All the divine abilities and secret techniques he used to resist were useless. He turned into a human-shaped torch, tumbling in the void, and then fell to the ground. "No!" A dozen breaths passed in the blink of an eye. Accompanied by a miserable scream that was mixed with despair, fear, and unwillingness, the patriarch of the Jia clan's immortal king realm body completely disappeared, leaving only a pile of grayish-black ashes on the ground outside the Lord Theological Seminary. "He's dead! A peak-stage immortal king was. The surrounding cultivators were almost terrified. That was a peak-stage immortal king realm expert, but he was burned to death by the little Taichu in an instant. The patriarch of the He clan and the patriarch of the Mu clan had barely withstood the 6-colored divine light. When they saw this scene, they couldn't help but tremble. Even Qin Jingyan was moved again. Even Wuxing Crocodile, Ling Yun, and the others, who were familiar with the little Taichu's power, couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. "Little Munchkin is really too terrifying." The white tiger trembled. Lin Tian, on the other hand, was very calm. He wasn't surprised at all. The little guy was from the immortal spirit royal family, and he was even nobler than the legendary heavenly dragon. Now that he was at the intermediate stage of the immortal king realm, killing an ordinary peak stage immortal king realm cultivator was as easy as cutting grass. Almost at the same time, in the distance, the expressions of the 20 or so people who had been shouting at Lin Tian outside the imperial courtyard changed drastically. These people looked at the little Taichu, and then looked at Lin Tian. Cold sweat kept flowing down their foreheads, and they couldn't help but tremble. Previously, the Jia clan's patriarch, the He clan's patriarch, and the Mu clan's patriarch had promised them great benefits. They asked them to challenge Lin Tian outside the Lord Theological Seminary, humiliate Lin Tian, and provoke Lin Tian to come out of the Lord Theological Seminary. They did it without hesitation because the Jia clan's patriarch and the others were at the peak of the immortal king realm. So what if Lin Tian had many tricks up his sleeve? In the end, he was only a Xian immortal. They thought that as long as they provoked Lin Tian Lin Tian would definitely die. He wouldn't be able to escape the encirclement of 3 peak stage immortal kings. They didn't need to worry about Lin Tian taking revenge on them at all. They could peacefully get the treasures that the Jia clan's patriarch and the others had promised them. But now, when they saw the scene in front of them, all of them were stunned. No matter what, they didn't expect that Lin Tian would have such a terrifying little beast by his side. It actually killed the Jia clan's patriarch, an expert at the peak of the immortal king realm, in such a short period of time. What kind of terrifying combat strength was this? And with such a shocking combat strength by his side, even if they provoked Lin Tian now, so what? Could the remaining patriarch of the He clan and the patriarch of the Mu clan threaten Lin Tian? Could they kill Lin Tian? Absolutely impossible. Even if they joined forces with Qin Jingyan, who was on the ranking of 100 immortals, they wouldn't have any hope. The gap between the combat strength of these three and the little Taichu by Lin Tian's side was too obvious. Even an ordinary person could see it at this moment. Go, run! Among the more than 20 people, the young mystic immortal who was the leader said in a trembling voice. He called for the others to escape together. These people who were clamoring were gathered by him. At this moment, when he saw this scene, he knew very well that the Mu clan's patriarch and the others definitely couldn't kill Lin Tian. After this, Lin Tian would definitely not let them go. They had to escape immediately. At that moment, the more than 20 people moved at the same time. They carefully retreated into the distance, not daring to retreat too quickly or too obviously. They were worried that if their movements were too big, Lin Tian would notice. However, no matter how subtle and inconspicuous their movements were, they still couldn't escape Lin Tian's eyes. This was because the moment Lin Tian walked out of the Lord Theological Seminary, he spread out a weak divine sense that surrounded the more than 20 people. At this moment, seeing that the group of people was preparing to escape, Lin Tian tilted his head. His footsteps shook slightly, and he took a step forward. You're leaving? Weren't you very arrogant before? Didn't you want to fight with me? Looking at the more than 20 people, his expression was very calm. Come, let's fight. I'll give you a chance. Come at me together. P.S. Tomorrow is the Mid-Autumn Festival. The dragon wishes everyone a happy Mid-Autumn Festival in advance and a happy family. Also, since it's the Mid-Autumn Festival, I still have to give out some benefits. Tomorrow, the dragon will give out Mid-Autumn Festival red envelopes on WeChat's official account. Everyone's WeChat's official account can search for Sleepy Dragon, and then follow him. The dragon will announce the password for receiving Mid-Autumn Festival red envelopes on WeChat's official account at around noon tomorrow. Everyone, come, the dragon is waiting for you. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.